A young and beautiful girl named Katie tells her mom that she wants a year break before starting college, explaining that she needs to think over on what course she would really take. The next day, the guidance counselor shares her concern with Katie's decision not to pursue college. She suggests that Katie writes a diary or a blog so she can examine herself and gain clarity on her goals. Katie thinks it is lame, but nevertheless, she started blogging. In her blog, Katie reveals a secret, the reason why she wants to take a year's break. And the reason is to spend more time with an older neighbor named Dan. Dan has a girlfriend while Katie has a boyfriend, and they are both aware of that. The two spend their day just watching films and getting intimate. Dan teaches film at a community college, and one night, he tells Katie that he will be moving closer to the school. Katie gets upset because he will be far from her, but Dan assures her that they would still see each other. The next day, Katie tells her mom that she started blogging, but she did not disclose the name so she could anonymously tell all her secrets. Her mother's boyfriend, whom she calls the Mustache, arrives and asks Katie if she's still going to spend the whole day watching TV. Katie says that she will find a job that will pay extremely well. The Mustache tells her that it would be hard finding one right now, but the determined girl says not to underestimate her. Katie spends the entire day job hunting until she ends up in the bookshop of an old guy named Glenn. Charmed by her enthusiastic attitude, the old man immediately hires her. Her mother is impressed that she got the job right away, but the Mustache is doubtful, saying that perhaps the old guy only hired Katie for a different motive. Disgusted, Katie heads to her room and starts blogging. Moments later, her boyfriend Rory comes in, and they immediately get into action. The next day, Katie goes to Dan's house, but he already left without saying goodbye. In order to see him, Katie needs a car, so she goes to her father Doug and asks him to keep his promise of buying her a car after her graduation. Doug responds with her promise that she will stay an innocent little angel, way different from what she is now. Going home, Katie receives a voice message from someone named Joel who once tutored her on math. He asks if he could meet with her, but Katie just ignores it. Katie's rich best friend Jade just arrived from vacation, and they spend their time smoking in the cemetery and partying all night. Katie checks her blog, which has now more than 14,000 visitors, and she's happy that more people find her story interesting. One day, her mother tells her that she has to quit her job at the bookstore. It turns out that the Mustache run a background check on Glenn and finds out that Katie's boss is a sex offender. To avoid hurting the old man's feelings, Katie calls him and lies about getting a job at a law firm. No Dan, no car, and no job. This made Katie feel miserable. Until one time, someone calls her, offering her a job as a nanny. She immediately tells her mom about the good news, saying that she now has a job and her boss will let her use a car. The next day, Katie goes to her boss' house and meets his wife, Margaret. Although she has zero experience with newborns, Katie accepted the job. Her trial by fire begins when Margaret immediately tasks her with cleaning her baby's poop. One day, her boss Paul returns from a business trip. Paul interviewed Katie before for the college admission, and after learning that she didn't pursue it, he called her to offer the nanny job. Margaret gives Katie her salary, implying that she can leave early as she and Paul still have to do some hanky-panky. Dan still hasn't called Katie for more than a month already, and it's making her depressed. She suddenly gets a call, but it is from Joel again, so she hangs it up. Finally, she gathers the courage to break their rule and call Dan herself. Dan answers, but he is not quite enthusiastic hearing her. Katie begs to see him again, saying that she will do anything that will please him. With this, the nonchalant Dan agrees to meet her. Katie goes to her lover's house, and they straightaway got intimate. She tells Dan to break up with his girlfriend and be with her, but the lover boy is hesitant because of Katie's age. The young lady says they can keep it a secret from their friends and family. Dan then admits that he is already engaged to his girlfriend. Katie realizes that the reason Dan moved out is so he could live together with his fiancée. She goes home devastated and later finds her boyfriend waiting for her at their house. When asked why she is crying, Katie runs to her bedroom. Rory goes after her, and when he angrily asks what happened, Katie confesses that she slept with someone else. Rory got furious and is about to hit her, but Katie managed to kick him. Her mother's boyfriend comes in to the rescue and kicks Dan out of the house. Katie felt depressed for days, but in her blog, she is hopeful that something wonderful could still happen in her life. Paul and his wife hold a Christmas Eve party at their house. Katie goes to get an ice when she accidentally holds hands with her boss Paul. Paul jokes that his wife might become suspicious about them, and they both shrug it off. At home, Katie, who had previously been feeling down, now seems to be smiling. She later receives another voice message from Joel, and she starts to become curious about him. The next day, Katie exchanges gifts with her dad and his girlfriend. Doug gives her a card and recounts the time when Katie's mother kicked him out of their house right before Christmas. He says that Katie clung to him and was screaming, but Katie claims that she does not remember it. Katie is spending Christmas night alone in her bedroom when her mother and the mustache comes in to tell her that they are getting married. Katie later tells Rory about it, and she asks him to come and comfort her. However, Rory confesses that he had been sleeping with Katie's best friend Jade ever since. Katie receives a text message from Joel, and she finally decides to meet with him. Joel tells her about his attempt to end his life before, and he has been wanting to talk to Katie because she also went into depression when she was younger too. A phone call wakes Katie up in the middle of the night. It is from her father's girlfriend, telling her about the terrible news. At the hospital, Katie learns that Doug had a fall and suffered bleeding around his brain. Few days later, Doug succumbed to his death, and at his funeral, Katie is in tears as she recounts her unusual memories with her father. Margaret goes back to work, so that means Katie is left at home with the baby and Paul, who comes home during lunch. They talk about the death of Katie's father, and the young nanny is charmed by her boss wisdom. Before leaving, Paul gives Katie her salary and a note telling her about the realities of adult life. Katie shows it to Joel, and her friend says her boss wants to get inside her pants. The nanny dismisses this, saying that Paul has a beautiful wife. Joel comments that Katie is promiscuous, so he asks if she was violated as a child. That's when Katie recounts what their neighbor did to her when she was 6. Joel advises her to get therapy, and so after telling her mom, she gets sent to Dr. Sherman. Katie tells her what happened when she was younger, claiming that it probably is the reason she is attracted to older men. The therapist tells her to write a letter to that old neighbor as a step towards her healing. Katie and Paul are having a heart-to-heart talk again, and the boss later gives her a necklace as Valentine's gift. Katie hugs to thank him, but then it quickly escalated into them making out. They hear that Margaret has arrived, so they quickly stop and act like nothing happened. Katie later gets a call from Dan, telling her to come because his girlfriend is out of town. She goes to his place, and the two spend the night as usual. However, when Katie tells him about Paul, Dan gets mad, saying that the guy is way too older than her and he's married. Katie calls him a hypocrite, and so Dan finally ends it with her and asks Katie not to call him anymore. The next day, Katie goes to work, and when Margaret left the house, she and Paul start doing what both of them had been wanting to do. Katie ends her therapy by sending a fabricated email to Dr. Sherman using her mom's account. Katie's blog gets flooded with rude comments, and a lot of them are calling her names. This does not affect her a bit, but then she receives a voice message from Joel, calling her a monster for not calling back despite him being a good friend to her. Joel asserts that there aren't any other guys besides him who would befriend her without expecting something in return. With this, Katie breaks down in tears, and to make matters worse, she later finds out that she is pregnant. She goes to see her ex and tells him about it, saying that she is planning not to keep it. Rory asks how many other men she's been with aside from him, and when she says 2, Rory gets disgusted and leaves. Later that night, Katie calls Joel, but it is his mom who answered. The mother tells her that Joel made another attempt on his life. He is currently in the hospital, but Katie couldn't visit him yet. Katie goes to her father's house, and when his girlfriend gives her his old belongings, the daughter breaks down. She also learns that her father has been keeping all her gifts and cards, something she did not expect from her drunk and stoic father. One day, her mother tells her about her appointment with Dr. Sherman, and Katie is confused because she already sent her a fabricated email. Margaret and Katie greet Paul a happy birthday. The baby suddenly cries, and Margaret volunteers to check him herself. And so the two lovers use the opportunity to make out in the kitchen. Katie gives him a sweet letter, and Paul thanks her for it, but then he tears it, afraid that his wife might see it. Katie starts feeling sick because of her pregnancy. She decides to call Paul in the middle of the night to tell him about it. Paul pretends to be talking with his office mate and hangs up the call, making Katie mad. Katie meets with Dr. Sherman, and she asks for antidepressants. However, the therapist says she does not need it because she is not depressed, but just grieving. Katie finally follows her advice of writing a letter to the old neighbor who molested her when she was younger. She then heads to the bookstore and tells Glenn the real reason why she quitted her job. Glenn asks why she comes back, and Katie says she wants his advice, but first she needs to know what he did to be convicted as a sex offender. Glenn says that he was an addict even when he was already in the military. He got busted and discharged, and for a very long time, he tried to stay out of trouble. However, one night, when he was so drunk, he goes to the house of a call girl. She lets him in, offers him a drink and a legal substance. Glenn had no idea what happened that night, and he wakes up the next morning in jail, charged of sexual assault. He then asks Katie what is her problem, and she tells him that she's pregnant. She plans to get an abortion, but she is scared. Glenn advises her to keep the baby and stop seeing the men ever again. Katie says her mom will kick her out if she finds out, so the old man offers her the empty room above his garage. She thanks him for all his advice, and as she arrives home, Katie smiles as she is now ready to face the new chapter of her life as an adult. However, her mother takes over her blog to tell Katie's readers about a disturbing news. She reveals that Katie's real name is Amy. Right after she posted her last blog, Amy received a phone call from a blocked number, and a few minutes later, she drove away and has never been seen or heard from since. Amy's mother, whose real face is now revealed, asks help from the readers to find the whereabouts of her daughter. Katie changed her name and some details of the people in her blog so she could not be identified. Like Dan, whom she said is a film professor, actually works in a video store. Her best friend, whose real name is Noelle, is not actually a rich kid but a homeless addict. The investigator asks the couple whom Amy worked for, and Paul denies having intimate encounter with their nanny. Meanwhile, Glenn, whose real name is Roy, claims that he never saw Amy after that night. Amy's mother questions who would want to hurt her daughter, but then after reading all the hate comments and emails, she concludes that perhaps it is all of them. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
Hello, and welcome back to The Story. Today we will be making a recap on a 2014 movie titled Burying the Ex. The story begins with a couple named Evelyn and Max waking up just after they have moved in together. Max gives Evelyn a good morning kiss and goes to wake up his brother named Travis, who is sleeping with beautiful girls. Because of this, Evelyn hated Travis being in their home and told him to leave right away. She kicks out the girls and asks Max to have morning breakfasts. Evelyn works as a web designer and Max owns a small shop named Bloody Mary, where he sells weird devil-themed artifacts. One day an old man comes into the shop with a few parcels for Max. The parcels have sexy schoolgirl costumes which he had purchased for his girlfriend Evelyn. While checking other sexy costumes, he finds something he had not ordered, a devil genie statue with a tag hanging around it, saying it can grant any wish or desire the evil way. Max ignores the statue and keeps it in the box. The upcoming night, we can see Evelyn wearing a sexy nurse costume and goofing around with Max. Max shows Evelyn the statue he received in the parcel. Evelyn also thinks the tag is just a joke. Before kissing Evelyn, Max promises that they will always be together forever, and we see the devil genie statue lighting up his eyes in red color. In the next scene, we see the couple has purchased a new house and they are heading towards an ice cream parlor before going to celebrate their day. In this ice cream parlor, we see a beautiful girl named Olivia who seems a bit interested in Max. Both Max and Olivia get into a conversation which seems a bit flirty and makes Evelyn feel left out and jealous. Evelyn starts to fight with Olivia, calling her an idiot, and storms out of the parlor. Max says sorry to Olivia and follows Evelyn. A few days later, we see Max arrive and get surprised by Evelyn. She has changed all the interior of the apartment by removing Max's collections, which are very expensive. Max is not happy about this change and yells at Evelyn because his stuff was expensive. Evelyn gets upset and starts to defend herself. They both get into a heated argument and Evelyn goes into the bedroom and locks herself inside. Max decides to break up with Evelyn because he thinks their relationship is no longer working. He asks his brother for help and Travis advises him to break up with her in public so that when Evelyn starts kicking him, someone could call the 911. The next day, Max calls Evelyn to come to the park so he can break up with her. She arrives later in her car and waves to Max with a smile. She rushes excitedly to him and while crossing the road, she gets hit by a bus and dies on the spot. Max breaks into tears watching her covered in blood. He is shocked and scared to see her go. Later, we see Max and his brother Travis at the funeral saying goodbye to Evelyn. Even though he wanted to break up with her, he was still depressed and could not move on. He stays inside his house for days remembering Evelyn. He keeps blaming himself for her death. His brother can't see Max in this situation and advises him to go outside and have fun. Max thinks this is a good way to get out of this depression. Max after a long time gets out and decides to go watch a movie. He does not enjoy the film but watches it. After getting out of the movie theater, he bumps into Olivia, the beautiful girl from the ice cream parlor. She calls Max and takes him to her ice cream shop for a drink. They both start talking about their past and share things emotionally. Both seem to be enjoying each other's company and soon start to make out passionately. Later, Olivia goes back to the ice cream parlor and Max goes to his house and closes the door behind him. Someone knocks on the door, and he thinks maybe it's Olivia and gets a bit excited. He opens the door and to his surprise his ex-girlfriend has emerged back from the dead. He screams and shuts the door in fear. He starts to wonder how this can be possible. After a while he lets her inside and they start to talk. Evelyn looks like a zombie and has scars all over her face. She seems happy to see Max and tries to get close to him. But he is still scared and doesn't understand what is going on. He finally talks to her and asks her how she is still alive. She tells him the devil genie really granted his wish to never lose his girlfriend. She became alive in her grave and came to visit him. She tells him they will never get separated ever again and she will love him even more than before. She starts to pull him so they can shower together. Max doesn't seem comfortable and keeps his hands away from her. He pretends to be happy and agrees to whatever Evelyn is saying. When Evelyn goes into the bathroom, the door knocks again and Max goes to see who it might be. It is Olivia. She tries to ask Max for a relationship, but he has to decline because Evelyn is back. He lies to Olivia and tells her we should wait and not take any quick decisions. Olivia leaves and Evelyn comes out of the bathroom asking who was at the door. Max lies and says FedEx agent was at the door. She believes him and starts to flirt with him. While walking towards the bedroom, she slips and breaks her neck. To Max's surprise, she gets up and cracks her neck back at its place. Max realizes she can't die easily. They both start to live together just like before. Evelyn sleeps with him, plays with him, and even goes clubbing with him. During all this, Max is unable to enjoy his time with Evelyn and just tries to hide his emotions. Evelyn soon notices this during their breakfast and gets angry. She slams her hands on the table and stomps her foot on the floor, breaking both table and floor. She comes up with an idea and says she will kill him as well so he can come back to life, and they can both happily live forever like he had wished to the evil genie. Max gets more scared and asks Evelyn for some time to digest all this. She hugs him tightly and agrees to give him a little bit of time. Max rushes out and later calls his brother Travis. He tells him all about Evelyn and how she is back from the dead and trying to kill him. Travis thinks he is getting pranked by Max and does not believe him. When Travis visits Max's house, he gets shocked to see Evelyn alive and loses his mind. He runs out of the house in fear. Both brothers meet up and discuss what they can do to get out of this situation. Travis comes up with an idea to kill her and get rid of her once and for all. Max starts to read many books to learn any dark magic that can fix Evelyn, but everything fails one after another. He even tries to destroy the Devil Genie statue to see if the wish breaks. But nothing happens as Evelyn is still alive and trying to have a relationship with him. At last, Max gets a sword and decides to kill Evelyn while she is doing yoga. But he gets cold feet and goes to meet Travis to give him the sword. Travis assures Max that he will kill Evelyn for him. Max tries to stop Travis, but he wants to kill her no matter what. Max agrees and tells him he has a date with Olivia. Max goes to the graveyard to meet Olivia and watch a movie with her. Olivia is sleeping in Max's lap. They start to make out while watching the movie. Travis visits Evelyn and makes up a reason to get inside the house. Evelyn gets bloodlust and kills Travis by eating his head. Max and Olivia, who are enjoying their makeout, decide to go someplace private to move things further. They both go inside Olivia's car and start loving and kissing each other. When they wake up, Max tells her he has to check something at home and leaves giving a goodbye kiss to Olivia. Max gets in the house and sees Travis is dead and wrapped in a plastic bag. He can't believe his brother is dead and Evelyn ate his head. Evelyn tells him they can live together now. To escape from the house, Max lies to her and tells her to wait in the bathroom for him and prepare hot water for them to bathe together. While she is preparing their bath, Max barricades the door using a table. He rushes towards the kitchen and calls 911. He explains everything to them, but obviously they don't believe anything he says and refuse to help him. Evelyn keeps calling him, but he leaves the house to visit a police precinct. Evelyn with one push breaks the bathroom door and comes outside. She sees Max has left his cell phone on the table and reads the naughty text sent between Max and Olivia about sexual topics. She breaks the phone in rage and screams loudly. Back in the police precinct, the officer does not believe Max in his story of a zombie girlfriend. Evelyn in rage goes to the ice cream parlor to kill Olivia. She picks up Olivia's by her throat and throws her away. Max in the police precinct listens to a radio signal saying someone has attacked an ice cream parlor. He instantly figures out this must be Evelyn trying to kill Olivia. He rushed over to the parlor to save Olivia. He tries to talk to her. He tells her he doesn't love her anymore and can't stay with her. He tells her they have to break up. But Evelyn does not agree and says we'll take him with her. Max starts to punch Evelyn with his helmet. Olivia also helps Max to fight Evelyn. Because Evelyn is strong, she pushes Olivia into a wall and starts to smack Max's head on the floor. Max stabs Evelyn in the stomach and head with a piece of glass. Evelyn dies on the floor. Max and Olivia reunite just when Evelyn climbs on Max's back. She is about to kill both of them just when Travis comes from behind and kills Evelyn. He had become a zombie as well. Max asks what they should do about the body. Travis tells him to bury her. While burying Evelyn, Max apologizes to Olivia for lying and hiding about all this and asks her to give him another chance. Olivia, without answering, kisses Max and says they should go someplace private. At the end, we can see Max has moved his Bloody Mary shop into Olivia's ice cream parlor where Olivia is selling a new flavor named Burying the X. Olivia goes to Max and jokingly asks why he hasn't paid his rent. He says because he spent all his money buying this ring and proposes to Olivia. She smiles in surprise and says yes to his proposal. They both kiss and walk away together. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
How far will a father go just to save his innocent daughter? Hello, and welcome back to the story. Today, we will be making a recap of a 2007 movie titled Butterfly on a Wheel. Warning, there will be some spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk and enjoy. The story begins with a man named Neil who surprises his wife late at night on her birthday. His wife Abby hugs and thanks him. They are interrupted by their daughter Sophie. We can see that they have a happy and loving family. Next morning, Neil kisses Abby before leaving for work. Abby's friend tells her that she has the greatest husband ever, and she agrees. In the city, we can see a man named Tom spying Neil at the top of the building. At the meeting, his boss congratulates Neil for his outstanding work and says it will destroy their competition. He later tells him that he has big plans for him and invites him to the huddle room. Abby calls the secretary named Judy and asks for her husband. Judy says he is talking with the boss. Abby asks if it is about his promotion and their weekend getaway, and Judy says most likely. That evening, Neil celebrates his wife's birthday. Abby asks Neil if he can just stay this weekend. He says he wants to, but his boss invites him to his house. Abby says she understands. Next morning, the babysitter arrives. Neil will be going to his boss' house while Abby will be at her friend's. The couple later kisses their daughter and bid farewell. While in the car, Neil says he don't know if he can find the place because it is in the middle of nowhere. Tom suddenly appears at the back, pointing a gun at the couple. They panic and almost crash the car. Tom hands a phone to Abby, and she finds out that their daughter Sophie is being held hostage by the babysitter. Neil asks Tom how much does he want, and Tom says $140,000, which is the exact money left on their bank account. When they reach the bank, Tom gives the briefcase to Abby and threatens Neil not to do anything funny because with just one phone call, they'll never see their daughter again. Meanwhile, we can see that Sophie is hiding in the bed and the babysitter finds her. The couple gets inside the bank. Neil tries to call the police, but Abby stops him and says that they should do what the man said. As they are about to withdraw the money, Neil, who is under pressure, yells at the teller to make it quick. Abby calms down her husband and tells him to go back to the car. Neil gets back to the car and waits with Tom. Abby arrives with the cash and they move forward. Tom then asks for their wallets and purse. Abby says that's all the money they have left. Tom burns the money and throws it into the river. They later go to an expensive restaurant and the couple asks Tom what does he really want. He says he just wants to put to the test if parents would really do anything for their kids. He says he owns them for the next 24 hours, and after that, they can have their daughter back. Tom orders an expensive steak and tells the couple that they need to run. Neil asks him what does he meant. Tom says they have 15 minutes to get $300 somewhere, so they can pay the bill. The couple are panicking outside, trying to find money, but they don't know anyone in that place. They ask help from strangers, but everyone just ignores them. Abby has an idea, and they run to a pawn shop so she can pawn her bracelet. The appraiser only offers $200, so Neil gives his watch, and the appraiser agrees for $300. The couple runs back to the restaurant to give the money. While Neil is paying the bill, Tom gives Abby a document and tells her to deliver it alone. Neil wants to come with her, but Tom stops him, and Abby says she can do it herself. Tom parks the car at the top of a building. Across them is the office of the main competitor of Neil's employer. Tom gives him a document which contains proof that Neil is hacking corporate accounts. He says the original copy is with Abby, who has arrived at their competitor's office to deliver it. Tom says that if it is leaked, it will ruin Neil's career and his company's reputation. Tom gives Neil a chance to stop Abby, so he gives him the phone to call her. Neil tells her not to give the document, but she says she has to do it for Sophie. Tom takes out the phone and Neil is yelling as he watches Abby hand over the document. While waiting for Abby, Tom wants to check on Sophie, so he makes a call. He says 827, then gets to talk with the babysitter. Neil wants to speak with his daughter, but then Tom hangs up. Tom has to pick something up, so he leaves the couple. Neil confronts Abby about what she did, and the couple gets into a fight. Abby finds Tom's phone inside the car, and Neil writes down the number that Tom last called. Tom arrives and gives them a package. He says they have 1 hour to take the train and deliver it. At the train station, Neil believes the number that Tom called was a hotel, so he tries to call it. Neil confirms the name of the hotel, and tells his wife it might be their only chance to save their daughter. They ride a cab and there, Neil opens the package that Tom asked him to deliver and it is empty. The couple arrives at the hotel and Abby asks the front desk. She then tells Neil that their daughter and the babysitter checked in there. Abby keeps the room cleaner busy while Neil finds the key card for room 827. They found the room and Neil sneaks in. Their daughter is not there but Neil finds her stuffed toy. He then sees Tom, who has been waiting there the whole time. Tom asks Neil how it feels to be played. Abby gets mad and charges at Tom, but he slaps her. As punishment for not doing what he asked, Tom gives Abby a sexy dress and tells her to wear it. Neil gets mad and punches him. Tom then threatens to harm their daughter, and Abby says she will do what he asked. Tom undresses Abby and puts on the sexy dress, while Neil helplessly watches. Tom throws a glass of scotch on his face and tells him to be there at 8 o'clock or he'll never see his wife and daughter again. Neil asks him where, but Tom does not tell him anything, and he leaves with Abby. Neil panics as he tries to look for a clue in the room, but he can't find any. He lost all his hopes, so he decides to go to the police. He tells the officer that his wife and daughter have been kidnapped by a psycho. The officer says he knows already, because his wife was there just a while ago. She said that her husband would make up stories, just so she wouldn't leave him. Neil says Tom might have forced her to say it, but the officer still does not believe him, because he smells drunk. He tells Neil to go home and try to accept it. Neil later sits outside crying. A while later, he sees his car and rushes to it. Abby gets out and hugs him. She assures him that Tom did not touch her, and that he forced her to lie to the police. While on the car, Neil asks Tom where is he taking them, and Tom says, to his boss' house. They arrive at the house, and Tom asks Neil how far will he go to save the things most important for him. Neil says he would do whatever it takes to protect his family. He tells him that this will be his last test. He gives Neil a gun and tells him to kill the person inside the house. If he can't do it in 10 minutes, he will never see his daughter again. When Neil gets inside the house, he finds Judy, the secretary. She thought Neil got lost trying to find the place. She kisses him and Neil is confused. Judy asks him if his wife believed their lie, that he is going to his boss' house for the weekend. Neil says yes, because his wife trusts him. It turns out that Neil has been having an affair with Judy for months already. Neil sees a picture of Tom, and he asks Judy who is that. She says it is her husband and he is on a hunting trip, that's why they can spend the weekend together. Neil tells Judy that Tom has his daughter because he knows about their affair. Neil takes out the gun and says Tom will kill his daughter if he does not kill her. He pins Judy down and tries to shoot her, but he hesitates. Tom comes in and tells him to do it. Neil refuses to, so Tom gets his phone and calls the babysitter. Neil has no choice, so he shoots Judy, but it turns out that the gun is not loaded. Tom confronts Neil about him cheating with his wife, and he beats him down. He tells him how painful it is what they have done to him. He is about to smash Neil's head, but Judy stops him. Neil asks where is his daughter, and Tom tells him she is at home. He runs back to the car, and they drive away. Abby asks what happened and why did she saw Judy at the window. Neil lies and says that Judy had an affair with his boss, and Tom, her husband, mistook him. The couple rushes back to their house and Neil finds his daughter sound asleep. He asks her if the babysitter hurt her, and Sophie says they played hide and seek. Neil is relieved and tells his wife that their daughter is fine. Abby says she knows it from the start. She confesses that she is part of the setup. Neil asks why she did that, and she says she suffered so much for months after knowing that he is cheating with her. That is why she connived with Tom. Neil says she ruined every cent they have worked for. And Abby reveals that the money that Tom burned and threw away was not real. He then says that Abby ruined his career, and she reveals that the document she handed to his company competitor was blank. Abby tells him that she was in pain, and she just wanted to share those feelings with him, even for just one day. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell. His simple infidelity leads him to a complicated and very dangerous situation. Hello, and welcome back to the story. Today we will be making a recap of a 2005 movie titled Derailed. Warning, there will be some spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk and enjoy. The story begins with a man in prison who lights a cigarette and writes on a notebook. He starts the note with "The morning it all began." Flashback to the month of October. A man named Charles is hastily preparing his breakfast. His wife Deanna checks their daughter's blood sugar because she is diabetic. While eating his breakfast, Charles helps her daughter with her book report. Charles is on a train when the conductor starts collecting tickets. He finds out that he failed to buy one, and he has no cash in his wallet. The conductor tells him that he needs to get off the train at the next stop. A woman named Lucinda offers to pay for his ticket. Charles thanks her and promises to pay her back. They chat and start to flirt with each other. We find out that Lucinda is a financial advisor on a company called Avery Price, while Charles is a commercial executive. When they reach the station, Charles tells Lucinda that he will pay her back if she will be on the same train tomorrow. Lucinda says it's a date. At work, Charles chats with Winston, the mailroom guy, who asks for help on a baseball quiz given by his police uncle. He then goes to a meeting where a client is not pleased with his work. His boss Elliot has to move the account to a different executive, making Charles lose potential commission. That evening, Charles is helping Amy review for the exam. He pities the situation of his daughter who looks pale and has a machine attached to her. Charles later drinks alone and starts to cry. His wife arrives and hugs him. The next day, Charles meets Lucinda on the train. They talk about their life and their job. Lucinda shows him the picture of her daughter, and the two find out that both of them are married. At work, Charles opens the website of Avery Price and finds the profile of Lucinda. He calls the company's number and asks for her. The two later have lunch together. Lucinda shares that her husband is so busy and that they couldn't find time with each other. One night, Charles wakes up to the alarm on his daughter's monitor, so he rushes to her room and finds her having a seizure. He calls his wife, who hurriedly injects insulin on her. Deanna cries as she tries to warm her daughter. The next day, Charles is having lunch with Lucinda again, and he tells her about his daughter's condition. He says they have mortgaged their house just to buy her dialysis machine. Charles says they tried kidney transplant thrice, but her body keeps rejecting them. He says that there is a new anti-rejection medicine, which is very expensive, but has a 99% success rate. They have been saving for it in years, and now they just wait for its release. Charles calls his wife and tells her that he will be home late because of work. He goes to a bar with Lucinda, and they drink. He gets to kiss her, and outside the bar, they continue making out. They ride a cab, and while searching for a hotel, Lucinda suddenly asks the driver to stop and tells Charles that she can no longer do it. He says he understands, but when they see a discreet hotel across the street, they both look at each other and smile. The front desk asks if they want to use the hotel safe, and Charles declines. They get inside the room and start making out. They start to do it in bed when suddenly a man barges in and points a gun at Lucinda. He takes their wallet and bag and finds out that both of them are cheating. He starts harassing Lucinda, and when Charles tries to stop him, he gets beaten up. With the gun pointed at her, the man forces himself into Lucinda while Charles lies on the floor, bloodied, and later passes out. Charles wakes up and finds Lucinda staring blankly while sitting in bed. He apologizes and says he will call the police. Lucinda stops him because her family might know, and they later leave the hotel. At his house, Charles tells his wife that he got mugged. Deanne says she hates the city and asks him to just quit his job and go back to teaching. Charles says it won't be enough for their daughter's medication. A while later, the phone rings, and when Charles answers it, it is the man who assaulted them in the hotel. He finds out that the man's name is LaRoche. He asks Charles for $20,000, or he will tell his family about his affair. Charles has got no choice and says he will give him the money. One day, Charles visits Lucinda in their office. Charles insists that they call the police, and Lucinda says no again, because if her husband finds out, he will file a divorce and take her daughter. Lucinda says they should not see each other anymore, and she leaves. He notices the receptionist staring and he calls her out. That night, Charles stares at the spreadsheet of his savings account. After thinking it over, Charles decides to withdraw it. The next day, he goes to the place that LaRoche told him. A man named Dexter approaches him and brings him to where LaRoche is waiting. Charlie gives him the money, and when they confirm it, LaRoche punches him, saying that is for canceling his credit card, and they leave. It is November. Outside the office, Winston sees Charles smoking, and he tells him about how he got busted in high school for selling illegal substances. Winston shares his experience at the prison where he had to stab a kid using a makeshift knife as self-defense. That night, Charles gets a call from LaRoche, asking again for more money. Charles says he's got no more money for him. He asks how he got his new number, and LaRoche gives him a clue. When Charles looks at his phone, it is their home phone number. Charles rushes to their home, worried. When he arrives, he finds LaRoche talking with his wife. He pretended to be one of his clients, and his wife thinks he is there because he needs Charles to sign a contract. Charles plays along, but when Amy comes down, he panics and asks her to go back upstairs. Deanna introduces Amy to LaRoche, and Charles looks distressed as he sees him kiss her daughter. Charles then interrupts them and says he will sign the contract now. When his wife and daughter leave, Charles tells LaRoche to get out. LaRoche then clinches his balls and tells him to give him his $100,000, and he will not bother him anymore. Charles says yes and LaRoche lets him go. He leaves, and Charles is left crying. The next day, Charles talks with Jerry, his lawyer. Jerry says they cannot pin down LaRoche because they did not file a police report during the incident at the hotel. He says the only way is for Lucinda to come forward. Charles tells Lucinda about it, but she still does not want to go to the police. Lucinda then tells him that she had an abortion, which means she got pregnant by LaRoche that night. That evening, Charles asks Winston for advice. He tells Charles that he will scare LaRoche off for him. He tries to refuse his help, but Winston says he owes him when Charles did not report him for stealing computers. Charles says he does not owe him anything. So Winston proposes to just pay him 10 grand to scare off LaRoche. The next day, Charles receives a note from LaRoche which says when and where he would send the money. He sees Winston, and Charles calls the accountant saying he needs 10 grand for a commercial spot. The two later drive to the location an hour early. Charles gives him the payment, and Winston takes out an unloaded gun to scare LaRoche. He also gives Charles a makeshift knife he used to stab a kid in prison. While Winston is talking about his plan, there is a sudden bang and Winston drops dead. LaRoche just shot him and takes out the $10,000 from his pocket. He tells Charles that it is his fault, and he leaves. Charles wipes the fingerprints and runs away. When he arrives home, he finds out that Winston's knife is still in his pocket. At the office, the accountant asks for receipt of commercial spot, and he says he will give it today. A detective named Franklin approaches him and says that Winston was murdered last night. Charles acts shocked and the detective says Winston is very close to him. He is the police uncle that Winston was referring to. Franklin asks him where was he last night. He says that he was at work, and Franklin asks if there is someone who could confirm that. The phone ring interrupts them and when Charles answers it, it is LaRoche. He says he has Lucinda held hostage and threatens to kill her. LaRoche also threatens to kill Charles' wife and daughter if he does not meet him in 20 minutes. Charles says he is ready to give him the money and LaRoche gives him the address, and he hastily leaves. Charles goes to the bank and withdraws $100,000 and proceeds to the address LaRoche gave him, which is the apartment of Lucinda. Inside, he sees Dexter pointing a gun at her, and Charles gives LaRoche the money. After scaring him, LaRoche leaves and tells him that he will never bother him again. Lucinda says sorry, that he has to use the money for his daughter's medicine. Charles says it is over. What's important is that she is safe and so is his family, and he leaves. Franklin finds Charles in a bar. He says the bartender saw him and Winston drinking there recently. The detective asks him again where was he last night because no one can confirm if he was at the office. He says he was alone. Franklin gives up and invites Charles and his lawyer to his office. He makes a threat to whoever killed Winston, and he leaves. One night, Deanna sees Charles drinking. He confesses that the money they saved for Amy's medicine is gone. Deanna cries and asks what has he done. She says it is 7 years of savings. Charles tells her everything. Charles and his lawyer Jerry are on their way to the detective, but Charles says he needs to tell Lucinda first. He arrives at Avery Price and asks the front desk for Lucinda. The receptionist tells him she just arrived. Charles says that's not her. He's referring to the lady she talked with in the lobby. The receptionist says it was a temporary staff and she already quit last week. Charles is confused. He goes back to her apartment and finds out that it was just rented by a couple and they left already. When the agent hands him the brochure, he sees that it is the picture of the girl that Lucinda claimed to be her daughter. Charles goes to the station and finds Lucinda. He follows her, and when he is about to confront her, a man approaches and talks to her. He seems to be Lucinda's new victim. Charles continues following her until he sees her approach LaRoche and kisses him. Dexter later arrives and the three of them leave. Charles goes back to the hotel and checks in. His lawyer says that if LaRoche is caught, the money won't be returned because it will become the state's evidence. Charles says he needs to take care of it himself because he needs to get Amy's money back. We later see Lucinda and her new victim checking in at a hotel. Dexter, who pretends to be a security guard, hands money to the front desk. When LaRoche arrives, we can see that Charles was just hiding behind them. While the two are waiting at the elevator, Charles runs to the top floor using the stairs. He arrives before them, and he quickly hides in his room. When Dexter left, Charles takes the lampstand and leaves the room. LaRoche is busy opening the door with a card when Charles knocks him out with the stand. He takes out his gun and gets inside, carrying LaRoche. The guy freaks out and Charles tells him that he's in a scam. Lucinda says she does not know what Charles is talking about. Charles tells the guy their MO, where she meets him on a train. She acts sweet and shows a picture of her made-up daughter. LaRoche would then rob him, and he can't call the police because he will try protect Lucinda. LaRoche later wakes up and mocks Charles. Charles punches him and asks for his money back. Lucinda tells LaRoche to just give him his money and they leave. LaRoche declines and the guy tries to grab the gun out of Charles. The gun goes off and accidentally hits Lucinda. Dexter hears the gunshot and tries to get inside the room. Meanwhile, LaRoche takes out his spare gun and shoots the guy multiple times. LaRoche gets mad when he sees Lucinda and he tries to shoot Charles, but he is out of bullets. Dexter breaks the door open, but Charles manages to steal his gun and shoots LaRoche. Dexter wrestles with him and using LaRoche's gun, he shoots down Dexter. When the police arrive, Charles is in his room and tells them that he heard gunshots and he saw the security guard run towards the room. He closed the door and hid. The officer thanks him for his statement and leaves. Detective Franklin arrives and he finds out that the gun in the scene is the same gun used in killing Winston. The other detective concluded that the couple got mugged, security tried to help and everyone got shot. When the police officers are emptying out the hotel safe, Charles finds his briefcase and shows his ID to claim it. The officer checks the tag and confirms it, so he gives it to him. Inside is the money that LaRoche and Lucinda took from him. The next day at work, Charles sees Elliot and the accountant in his office. Elliot accuses him of stealing the $10,000 he said was for a commercial spot. Charles says it was an emergency and he was gonna pay it back. Elliot says they already took legal action and tells Charles to just pay it back, and the most he'll get is community service. It is now December. Charles arrives at the prison, where he serves his community service as a teacher of the inmates. When he checks their notebooks, Charles notices one with the word sidetracked written on the cover. He reads it and it begins with "The morning it all began," which narrates the whole story of Charles, from the train, to when he find out the scam, and up until the shooting incident at the hotel. At the end of the note, it says, when Charles finished reading the story, he went to the laundry room. Charles leaves the classroom and proceeds to the laundry room. There, he hears a man saying Charles never checked if he made it out of the hotel alive. When Charles approaches him, he finds out that it is LaRoche. He pins Charles to the wall and tells him he ended up in the wrong prison. Charles then tells him that he chose this prison. The makeshift knife drops from his sleeve and Charles stabs LaRoche with it until he perishes. When Charles is about to leave the prison, he runs into Detective Franklin, who asks him what happened. He says he used the bathroom and the guy jumped at him with a knife. The detective says that Charles brought the knife and the law doesn't care who he kills. Charles gets worried, but then Franklin says the law didn't care much for Winston either. The detective lets him go. Charles smiles and leaves. He arrives home and is greeted by his wife. They see their daughter, who now looks healthier, as she runs to catch her school bus. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
7 years ago, a teenage transgender named Ricky records a video about her mother. In the present, Ricky is working in a coffee shop while chatting with her guy friend Robbie. Ricky complains about guys who just want to get in her pants, and she jokingly says maybe she should date girls. A while later, a girl named Francesca walks in. She's modest and virtuous, while Ricky is outspoken and vulgar. However, Francesca is having fun talking with her. When she left, Robbie teases Ricky, but she dismisses it. The two are on the way to their swimming spot, and Robbie continues to tease his friend about Francesca. Ricky does not like her because she's rich and conservative, and she might not be into transgender girls. When they reach the lake, Francesca coincidentally appears. She compliments Ricky's bathing suit and is more impressed when she learns that Ricky made it herself because she's a designer. She has applied for a fashion school and is just waiting for their reply. Ricky learns that Francesca is engaged to be married to a Marine who's assigned in Afghanistan. Francesca asks her if Robbie is her boyfriend, and Ricky denies it, saying they're just best friends. Plus, Robbie does not like transgenders like her. Francesca, who's been oblivious, is surprised when she hears this. Growing up in a religious community, Francesca asks a lot of questions about her transgender identity. Ricky says she's been planning to get full surgery someday, but it's just so expensive. They get interrupted when Robbie comes out of the water. He asks Francesca who is her fiancé, and when she mentions David Appleby, Robbie remembers that it was the kid who used to bully Ricky in school before, but Ricky does not remember. When she arrives home, Ricky checks the mailbox, but there's no reply yet from the fashion school. She lives together with her father and her younger brother Sam. Her father is very much supportive with her and is very confident that she'll become a great designer one day. That evening, Francesca video calls her Marine fiancé David. We learn that she is saving her V-card for their marriage. When she mentions Ricky, David gets so mad, and he seems to be transphobic, which upsets Francesca. While chatting with Robbie, Ricky texts Francesca to come over, and moments later, she arrives. Francesca finds out that she has a YouTube fashion channel with just over 1,000 followers. She joins Rick in the video as they talk about their outfit, and Francesca enjoys it a lot. When Sam goes to bed, the two continues chatting, and Francesca learns that Ricky is more of a mom than sister to Sam because their mother died of cancer when Sam was only 1. Francesca asks if she's never been with a girl, and Ricky says no, not even kissed one. Francesca says she's never kissed a girl either, and they start to get intimate, but Ricky quickly dismisses it. She says she does not want to ruin her engagement, but Francesca says she wants to live her life out loud like Ricky does. The two starts making out, but then Francesca regrets it, and leaves. On the video that Ricky made, her mom did not actually die, rather, she left them, because she is ashamed of Ricky. She also reveals that she has taken illegal substances and almost ended her life. The next day, Ricky admits to Robbie that Francesca kissed her. Her best friend is shocked and warns her not to mess around because Francesca's fiancé is a nut. Ricky says she isn't scared of him and it wouldn't happen again. But in case it happens again and escalates, Ricky asks how would she make love to a girl. Though uncomfortable, Robbie teaches his best friend how to do it from start to finish. Francesca later arrives and apologizes for walking out last night. She tells Ricky that she needs a dress for a party and asks her help to find one. Before leaving, Francesca says she liked what happened last night, and Ricky smiles. The two starts looking for a dress, but they aren't a lot of options to choose, so Ricky decides to go to Target and make dress for Francesca out of tablecloth. She is measuring Francesca when the two start to get intimate again. Ricky is worried she might steal Francesca's V-card from her fiancé, but the engaged woman reveals that she lost it already when she was 15 and was just lying to David. While doing it, David calls, but Francesca ignores it, and they just continue what they're doing. The next day, Robbie learns about Ricky's affair with Francesca, and they are disputing whether Ricky is already straight for doing that. They later arrive at Francesca's house, and Ricky hands over the dress she made. Francesca loves it a lot, and even Robbie is impressed by it. She then invites the two to the party, and though Ricky is hesitant, Francesca insists until she finally accepts. At the party, Francesca introduces her friends to her parents. Her father, who turns out to be a politician, gives a little speech. Using his connections, he was able to bring David back and surprise Francesca. The couple reunites, and everyone is happy except for Ricky and Robbie. When they are alone, David confronts his fiancée about making a YouTube video with Ricky. Francesca says it was just a harmless video about clothes, but David says he does not want her to hang out with a sick freak. Her parents notice them arguing, and David reveals that Ricky is a boy. He continues insulting Ricky, and they go into argument, making a scene. When Francesca implies that something happened with her and Ricky, David gets mad and tries to hit her, but then her dad grabs him, warning him to respect his daughter. He lets him go, and David walks away. That evening, Sam uses Ricky's laptop when he stumbles into a video that his sister made, revealing how their mother left them because she's ashamed of her. One day, the postman finally delivers a mail, which makes Ricky nervous. It's from the fashion school, but before she can open it, David appears, looking mad. Ricky tries to ignore him, but David tackles her down and threatens to hit her. But then Ricky reminds him of their secret, which makes David stop. It turns out that David took Ricky's V-card and is the only man she ever slept with. She never said their secret because David is still special to her. David sees Francesca's car coming, so he quickly leaves. Francesca insistently asks what's going on, but Ricky just tells her to talk to David. When Francesca asks why she has not returned her calls, Ricky says they should stop seeing each other. Francesca is heartbroken and leaves. When she left, Ricky opens the letter, but to her disappointment, she did not make it to the fashion school. She spends the day feeling down in her room. Robbie comes over, saying he heard her break up with Francesca. Ricky seems not to care about it, which makes Robbie mad, and carelessly insulted her sexual identity. Ricky says he'll never understand her lone struggles. Robbie reminds her that he's been on her side since they were 6, and Ricky says that's the reason why she never thought he would judge her. Robbie regrets what he said, but Ricky says everything is fine, and leaves. He tries to go after her, but Sam pulls him to watch Ricky's video, where part of it says she thought of ending her life before, but she never tells anyone, and just pretends everything is fine. The exact words she said before leaving. Afraid that Ricky might do something to herself, Robbie quickly runs away to find her. He goes looking for her in the bar and around town, but he couldn't find her. He runs to their swimming spot, screaming Ricky's name. He is relieved when he finds her just swimming on the lake. Robbie says he saw the video and asks why she never told him any of those things. Ricky says he is her only friend, and he might leave if he thought she's crazy or something. Robbie apologizes for what he said, and confesses that he was just jealous of Francesca. He tells her that she's beautiful, and Ricky comes out of the water naked. She asks Robbie if he still thinks she's beautiful, and Robbie walks over to kiss her. Ricky also confesses that she loved Robbie since they were kids, but she thought he was not into transgenders. Next morning, Robbie tells her that she should still pursue her dream as a fashion designer, but Ricky has given up hope, saying it was just a silly dream, and she does not have the money to put up a clothing line or go to New York. Meanwhile, Francesca apologizes to David for cheating. David asks if she's still in love with him, and she says yes. However, she does not understand why he hated transgender so much, like Ricky. That is when David confesses that he slept with her before she starts dating Francesca. David hates himself for doing it, which translated to him hating Ricky. The two reconcile and decide to give their relationship another chance. Before going to work, Robbie tells Ricky to check her mail. She is puzzled why there are random mails addressed to her, and when she checks it, they all contain money and messages encouraging her. Confused, she asks Robbie what's going on, and Sam later comes out to show her a video of a famous designer talking about how she loved Ricky's dress, and asks her followers to donate $1 so Ricky could start her clothing line. Moments later, the postman arrives together with David and Francesca, who were helping carry sacks full of letters. Francesca reveals that it was Robbie's idea to send her dress to the famous designer. The couple wishes her good luck in New York, which Ricky very much appreciated. Before leaving to New York, Ricky's father tells Robbie to take care of her daughter, to which he assures him he would. Sam tells his sister to post the video, and Ricky tells him to post it for her. When they left, Sam uploads the video of Ricky during her teenager years. People on the internet watches and is inspired on how she battled her depression by thinking about the people she loved, the things she should be grateful for, and how lucky she was to be alive despite the circumstances. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
A woman named Christine wakes up beside a man she does not recognize. When she goes to the bathroom, she finds pictures of herself together with the man who appears to be her husband. Ben explains that she had a terrible car accident that caused her to suffer short-term memory loss. Every time she goes to sleep and wakes up the next day, she forgets everything. Every morning, Ben shows her their photo album to remind her of everything, from their marriage to their vacations together. Ben later leaves for work, leaving Christine alone in the house. Moments later, a neurologist named Dr. Nash calls her and reveals that she has been in treatment with him for quite some time. He then tells her to look for the video camera hidden in her closet. Her husband does not know about this, and the doctor tells Christine to call him back after watching the videos and the camera. Christine watches the videos of herself putting into record the things she has learned so far over the last 2 weeks. She later meets with Dr. Nash, who has been helping her deal with her condition without her husband's knowledge. The neurologist says that it started 10 years ago when she was attacked near a hotel and left for dead. Christine is confused because her husband told her that she got it from a car accident. She is wondering why would her husband lie about this, and the doctor says that it might have been easier for Ben to explain that way. Dr. Nash brings her to the place where she was found after the attack, hoping that she'll remember something. A man brings them to the exact place he found her and says that he remembered her to be bloodied, naked, and is only covered by a plastic sheet from the hotel. Christine wonders why would she be staying in that hotel, and Dr. Nash says that she might be having an affair at that time because her test results indicated that she did it with someone just before the attack. That evening, Christine secretly records the things she learned that day on the camera. While sleeping, she has a short flashback of memories to the time when she was attacked by an unknown man in the hotel. The following day, the neurologist shows Christine random pictures until one particular photo gets her attention. It is of a red-haired lady named Claire. She asks her husband about her, and Ben tells her that Claire was her best friend, but she left because she got depressed over her condition. The husband also shows her picture of Claire and says that he kept it from her because he does not want her to get hurt. The following day, Christine starts to remember having a son. She gets upset and asks Ben why he kept it from her. Her husband tells her that their son, Adam, passed away from meningitis when he was 8. He kept these painful facts from her to shield her from reliving the agony. Feeling sad, she keeps recording these painful revelations while in tears. At night, Christine continues to struggle with her memories of her son, leading to a strange dream where her son Adam leaves her a drawing of a man with a scar on his face whose name is Mike. The next morning, Christine confides in Dr. Nash that Mike might be the man she had an affair with, and that he might also be her attacker. As Nash tries to comfort her with a hug, he nearly kisses her, but she flinches. Christine sees his hospital ID, which shows that his full name is Mike Nash. She then has a vision where Nash is attacking her in the hotel. Frightened, Christine pulls away and flees, but Nash catches up and gives her a sedative. Christine wakes up in her house, and moments later, Dr. Nash calls her. He explains that her vision must have been just an imagination that fills in the gaps in her memory, leading her to think that he was her attacker. The following day, Christine meets Nash again, but the doctor says he can't continue treating her because he is starting to develop feelings for her, and it would be very unethical. Before leaving, Nash tells her that 10 years ago, her husband took her to an assisted care facility, and 6 years after that, he filed a divorce and left her. Dr. Nash also reveals that her best friend Claire has been looking for her at the facility, and he hands Christine her phone number. She later confronts her husband about what she learned, and asks why did he divorce her. Ben confesses that he got very depressed when they lost their son. That is why he divorced her and left her in the facility. But later in time, he changed his mind and came back to her, promising to never leave her again. Christine felt bad for what he had gone through, so she consoles him. Later that day, Christine reached out to her best friend Claire, and as she hears her voice, fragments of her past memories with her best friend begin to resurface. They later meet at a park, and Claire reveals why they have drifted from each other. She confesses that she had a one-time affair with her husband at the time when they were both grieving on Christine's condition. To avoid ruining their marriage, Claire decided to stay away from their lives. She apologizes and gives Christine a letter which was written by Ben before he left her. He asked Claire to give the letter to his wife once she gets well enough to read it. Ben tells in the letter how much she loves Christine, but he had to take her to a care facility because of her condition. He explains that their son Adam has struggled with her situation, and for his sake, they needed to leave her. Ben was hoping that she would understand his decision. Christine starts to realize the struggles that Ben had to go through because of her condition. Grateful for his love and support, Christine records the new video, saying how much she loves him and that she wants to spend the rest of her life with him. That evening, she decided to show Ben the videos she recorded on the camera and confesses that she has been seeing a neurologist for quite some time. She also explains that she didn't trust him before, but she feels differently now. However, her husband thinks that she is having an affair with the doctor, so he hits her and leaves. Christine tells Claire about it, and her friend is confused because she knows that Ben would never hurt a woman. Claire says she will call Ben and talk to him. Moments later, she calls her back and says that Ben claimed that he hasn't seen Christine for 4 years. Claire then asks Christine if the Ben she is living with has a scar on his right cheek. She checks the pictures to confirm, and he never had a single scar on his face. She also learns that their wedding photos were also faked. That's when Christine realizes that the man she is living with is not her husband. She tries to leave the house, but the man catches her and put her to sleep. The next day, Christine wakes up with no memories again. She finds the camera and sees the video of her saying how much she loves her husband and wants to spend the rest of her life with him. The man calls her and tells her to pack up because they will be going on a vacation. He takes her to the hotel where she was attacked 10 years ago. Inside the room, she finally gets to remember what happened that night. The man she was living with was the one who attacked her. The man then reveals that he is Mike, the one she was having an affair with. That's when Christine remembers that Mike wanted her to tell Ben about their relationship, and when she refused to, they got into an argument which led up to Mike brutally assaulting her. Mike tells Christine how much he loves her, and while deleting the videos on her camera, he says that he no longer wants to pretend to be Ben. He threatens that if they won't live together, then no one shall live. He tries to get intimate with her, and when she refused, he hits Christine and assaults her again. But this time, she manages to fight back and run away. She triggers the fire alarm of the hotel and runs out of the building. She is later inside an ambulance while recording what had happened that night. The next day, Christine wakes up in the hospital and she is visited by Dr. Nash. He tells her that Mike was arrested last night and could no longer hurt her. He also says that she will be having visitors and he hopes that they will be able to help her finally recover. The real Ben comes over and with him is their son, Adam, who is well and alive. Now that she sees her son, Christine's memory finally returns and everything starts to come to light. 10 years ago, her husband brought her to the facility after her assault and they visit her every day. Throughout this time, her best friend Claire helps comfort her family. However, she got too close to Ben, which led to her having a one-time affair with him. She felt guilty for what she did, so Claire decided to stay away from their lives for good. However, for many years, Christine's condition never got better. It took a toll on their son's life as he grew very depressed, which is why Ben has decided that they leave her. Now alone in the facility, Mike used the opportunity to take Christine and pretend to be her husband. He forged Ben's signature so he could take her out of the facility and bring her home. For 4 years, Mike tricked her into believing that he is her husband. However, she later meets Dr. Nash, who helped her regain some of her memories until she finally is able to remember her real assailant and gets to reunite with her son whom she thought was already dead. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
Hello, and welcome back to the story. Today we will be making a recap on a 2004 movie titled A Moment to Remember. The story begins with a girl named Soo Jin who is holding 2 train tickets. Soo Jin looks at her watch as the train approaches. She later gets inside a phone booth and breaks down. That evening, Soo Jin buys soda at a convenience store and leaves. A while later, Soo Jin realizes that she left the soda. When she goes back, Soo Jin bumps into a man holding her soda. She snatches and drinks it until it's empty, then gives it back to the man and he smiles. Soo Jin rides a bus and realizes she left her wallet, so she goes back to the store. The attendant gives back her wallet and her soda. Realizing that it was not her soda she drank earlier, she looks for the man but could not find him. At their house, Soo Jin's family are having breakfast and they are awkwardly silent. Her father is still mad at her for going with a married man. Soo Jin goes back to her work and a rude workmate tells Soo Jin that she is the friend of her ex-boyfriend's wife. Soo Jin is speechless. Months have passed and Soo Jin's dad seems to have forgiven her as he brings her to the construction site. Soo Jin's father works as CEO of a construction company. Her father sees 2 men arguing. The foreman named Chul Soo does not want to pour the concrete yet because it would be unsafe. Chul Soo goes out of the building and Soo Jin sees him. Soo Jin realizes that he is the man she met at the convenience store. At her workplace, the renovation for the office is still not done. Soo Jin tells her boss she knows someone who could help, so she calls her father, and her dad says he can bring someone to help. The elevator opens and Soo Jin sees Chul Soo. Soo Jin got embarrassed and hides. Soo Jin later goes to a vending machine but Chul Soo snatches the soda and drinks it till it's empty. On her way home, a man in motorcycle grabs Soo Jin's bag. Chul Soo opens his car's door and the robber crashes into it. Chul Soo takes out the windshield that has been broken from the crash and gives Soo Jin a ride home. The next day, Soo Jin fixes herself up and brings snacks, but she finds out that Chul Soo is not at their office. That evening, Soo Jin goes out with the ladies, and intentionally walks by where Chul Soo and his coworkers are eating. Chul Soo is busy carving when the ladies approach them. Soo Jin says that they just walked by, and she saw him. The men quickly offer their chair to the ladies. A while later, the men got drunk and only Chul Soo and Soo Jin are left, and we can see that he is holding her hand. Chul Soo gives her a glass of soju and tells her that if she drinks that, they will be officially on. Soo Jin drinks it and Chul Soo kisses her. The two started dating and they frequently go to a batting cage where Chul Soo would teach Soo Jin how to hit the ball. The two are both happy and in love. At his apartment, Soo Jin sees the sculpture that Chul Soo was carving and he quickly snatches it and throws it away. When Soo Jin goes upstairs, she finds out Chul Soo is studying to become an architect. She is about to open his drawer but Chul Soo warns her not to or he will kick her out. She later finds a picture of Chul Soo with an old man, and he says that he is his teacher. We later find out that the sculpture Chul Soo was carving is Soo Jin's face. Soo Jin makes a suit for Chul Soo, and he wears it as he takes the architect licensure exam. After the exam, Chul Soo finds Soo Jin still waiting outside and they go home. One morning, Soo Jin's father tells her that he hears rumors she is seeing someone, and he wants to meet him. Soo Jin tells Chul Soo about it and he declines. She insists that he has to meet her parents if they are going to get married, but he says no. While having dinner, Chol-soo says he does not want to commit because he is afraid that they might just get hurt in the end. A while later, Soo-jin's parents arrive and Chol-soo is trapped. Soo-jin's father is surprised that his foreman is the one dating his daughter. Chol-soo tries to leave but Soo-jin stops him. Everyone is awkwardly silent. Soo-jin gets up and goes downstairs for the ladies' room. Soo-jin's father insults Chol-soo and he tries to leave, but then Soo-jin's father tells him that he is fired. After washing her face, Soo-jin looks dazed as she walks mindlessly outside while it is raining. They later find her unconscious in the street. At the hospital, the doctor says that Soo-jin passed out due to intense stress but will be fine after a good night's sleep. Soo-jin later wakes up and hugs Chol-soo. Her father looks at them. We then later see that Soo-jin is getting married to Chol-soo. At their house, we can see the wedding photos of the couple beside the architect license of Chol-soo. One day, Chol-soo runs to the kitchen which is smoking. Soo-jin forgets to turn off the stove and says sorry. Chol-soo smiles and carries her to the bedroom. At the construction site, Soo-jin's father later arrives and introduces a developer named Mr. Wong to Chol-soo. Mr. Wong brings Chol-soo to an empty hill where he is planning to build houses and Chol-soo starts making a model house. Chol-soo presents his house model to Mr. Wong and his associates. He gets nervous, but when he holds his cuff, he remembers his wife, so he goes on with his presentation. Mr. Wong seems impressed and Chol-soo calls his wife, who is excited to learn that he got the contract. The construction of the houses has started. That evening, Soo-jin looks worried as she thinks she lost her way home again. She feels relieved when she finally gets into the house and sees Chol-soo. She visits a neurologist, and the doctor asks if she ever had severe stress that caused her to black out. She started her story where she had a relationship with a married man. She got heartbroken when he did not show up in the train station. The doctor tells Soo-jin to come back for an MRI and CT scan. One morning, Chol-soo's mother visits his office and asks for a loan. Chol-soo got mad and said he owes her nothing. She says she borrowed money from a gang and now her life is in danger. Chol-soo declines her and she leaves angry. The couple are at the construction site on the hill, and they imagine having their house there. He tells her to wait a little longer because they would one day have their own house on that lot. She smiles and hugs him. Chol-soo brings his wife to the temple where his old teacher is working. Chol-soo shows the wall frame he has sculpted to his teacher. Chol-soo leaves to get some water and his teacher asks Soo-jin if Chol-soo has introduced his mother to her, and she says no. The teacher says Chol-soo must have not forgiven his mother yet. That night, Soo-jin uses picklock to open Chol-soo's drawer and finds a seizure paper that has picture and address of his mother. Soo-jin goes to the address and finds the house that has already been seized. Soo-jin asks Chol-soo to help his mother. He does not want to because he worked hard for the money to build their dream house. Soo-jin says they would not live happily in that house if he does not help his mother. Chol-soo gets mad and breaks a glass. Chol-soo's mother abandoned him when he was still young. Soo-jin tells him to forgive his mother like how her dad forgave her when she ran off with a married man and permitted her marriage with Chol-soo. Soo-jin hugs him. The next day, Chol-soo visits his mom in prison, who is still mad at him. Later on, Chol-soo meets with a gang member and pays his mother's loan, which is 90 grand. That evening, the couple eat at the cheap diner and Chol-soo tells his wife they are broke. Soo-jin says not to worry because she'll pay for their dinner. Chol-soo smiles and hugs her. At the clinic, the doctor asks Soo-jin simple questions like the current date, age, and birthday of her sister, but she finds it hard to remember, so he puts Soo-jin to an MRI scanner. When Soo-jin goes to work, she finds out that her ex, Young Min, is back from Paris. He tells Soo-jin that they will now be working together, but this time, he is single, and Soo-jin is the one that is married. Young Min apologizes for ghosting her, but Soo-jin says she does not remember, and she leaves. One night at their house, Soo-jin is busy putting glue on a paper and Chol-soo is just right behind her. Soo-jin suddenly looks for something and opens the door to look outside. When she looks back, she finds Chol-soo and asks him where did he went, and he just smiles. Soo-jin sits back and thanks Chol-soo for putting glue on the paper. Chol-soo is confused. Back at the clinic, the doctor got the result of the scan and tells Soo-jin she has a rare case of Alzheimer's disease. Soo-jin can't believe it. The doctor says medicine can slow it down, but that's just it. He advises Soo-jin to quit her job because soon, she won't be able to do anything. She will soon forget her family, friends and even herself when all her memories completely disappear. Soo-jin is devastated and breaks down. Soo-jin later tells Chol-soo that she would quit her job tomorrow and she'll just stay home to do the chores. Chol-soo says he likes that but asks what happened. She just kisses him. A while later, Soo-jin goes to the bathroom breaking down and crying. The next day, Soo-jin packed up her things at work. She buys groceries and makes breakfast. She fixes Chol-soo's tie and gives him his packed lunch. Chol-soo smiles as he leaves and waves goodbye. A while later, Soo-jin wakes up from a phone call. Young Min tells her she cannot quit without notice and asks her to meet him. Soo-jin then says she will go to the office. At the site, Chol-soo is having lunch with Mr. Wong and the men. Chol-soo opens his lunch. Both lunchboxes contain rice and have no side dishes. Chol-soo got worried. Soo-jin is on her way to the office when she suddenly becomes dazed. She sits and leans beside a building and a police officer helps her. The officer asks Soo-jin where she is going but she says she has no idea. Chol-soo visits Soo-jin's doctor and he could not believe his findings. He gets mad and attacks the doctor asking multiple times if he is really sure. The nurses stop Chol-soo and tells him the doctor's wife also died from Alzheimer's and he spent half of his life researching the disease. Chol-soo asks if there is any cure for it and the doctor says no. The doctor says that before his wife died, he took her to the place they first met, and she remembered almost everything. He said he was so happy because his wife recovered, but just 3 hours later, his wife asked him who he was. Chol-soo calls his wife but a man answered and says he just found the phone on the street, so he went looking for her. Soo-jin is still walking in the street with the officer when they bump into Young Min. Soo-jin calls Young Min's name and holds his hand. They sit on the bench and Young Min asks her if they can go back to the way they were. Soo-jin's memory suddenly comes back, then she leaves Young Min and rides a cab. That evening, Chol-soo finds his wife in the batting cage. Soo-jin sees Chol-soo teary-eyed, so she asks if he already knows her condition. Soo-jin tells him they should part ways because love is no use if she can't remember anything. Chol-soo says he will remember everything for her. Soo-jin asks him to let her go but Chol-soo insisted and says they will start afresh every day like permanent dating, and it would be awesome. He hugs her and they go home. Their house is now full of sticky notes and photos of the couple. Chol-soo tests Soo-jin can still remember their names and address and she could. Before leaving for work, Soo-jin tells him to go home early because it is his mom's birthday, and she invited her family and his old teacher. While cooking, Soo-jin looks at the calendar and starts to get dazed again. Someone knocks at the door, and it is Young Min. Soo-jin smiles and brings him in. She begs Young Min not to dump her again. Young Min is confused and asks what is wrong with her. Chol-soo arrives and confronts Young Min. Soo-jin is scared and asks who Chol-soo is. He punches Young Min and drags him outside where he beats him further. Their family later arrives, and Soo-jin suddenly passes out. Chol-soo has told everyone about Soo-jin's condition. Her father says it runs in the family and tells Chol-soo that they will take care of their daughter because he might not be able to handle it when time comes. Chol-soo insists that he will take care of his wife. The next morning, Chol-soo is about to leave for work when Soo-jin calls him Young Min and says I love you. Chol-soo responds back and makes a fake smile. When he is outside, Chol-soo breaks down. Chol-soo tells the doctor that Soo-jin no longer recognizes him and calls him by her ex-lover's name. The doctor says it is the recent memories that will disappear first, and he cannot blame Soo-jin because that is what remains in her memory. Soo-jin looks at the notes and pictures around their house. She suddenly remembers everything that had happened and realizes what he has done, so she cries. That evening, Chol-soo arrives home and sees a letter on the table. It is from Soo-jin saying sorry for breaking his heart and she tells him he is the only one she loves. She wants Chol-soo to be happy but all she gave to him is agony, that's why she is leaving. She asks Chol-soo to meet her father and petition for divorce. Chol-soo goes to Soo-jin's father and tears up the divorce paper. His father-in-law asks him to go back to work and not waste his life and fortune for his daughter, but he ignores him and goes on to find Soo-jin. Chol-soo goes to the police and files a missing person report. Later at the batting cage, Chol-soo sees Soo-jin cheering for him. When he approaches her, it is just his imagination, and he cries. One day, he finds a letter written by Soo-jin. Chol-soo hurriedly rides his car and while driving, Soo-jin narrates the letter she wrote. Soo-jin says she strangely remembers everything, but it might just be temporary, so she writes a letter for him. Soo-jin tells him he can forget her now and meet someone nice and be happy. She asks Chol-soo not to find her and she bids goodbye. Chol-soo arrives at the hospital and the nurse brings him to Soo-jin's room. Chol-soo sees her sitting outside. She drops her sketchpad with sketches of Chol-soo and he picks it up. Soo-jin thanks him and asks who is he. Chol-soo says it is nice to meet her and introduces his name. While at lunch, Soo-jin says the smell is familiar and tries to remember it but fails. She asks Chol-soo why is he crying and he finds it hard to speak. He asks the nurse if he can take her for a trip. They later go to the convenience store where they first met. When Soo-jin is about to get inside, Chol-soo opens the door holding a soda. Soo-jin holds it but does not take it and she get inside. She sees the attendant in the store as the doctor and the one cleaning is Chol-soo's teacher. She later sees the customers are her sister, mother and father who are crying beside Chol-soo's mom. Soo-jin is teary-eyed as she looks at Chol-soo. She asks him if this is heaven and Chol-soo says yes. She smiles and Chol-soo takes her outside. The movie ends with the couple riding in the car. Chol-soo gives Soo-jin the sculpture he made and says I love you. Soo-jin hugs him, and we can see that they are on the way to the mountains. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
What would the most loyal husband do if he finds out that his wife cheated with her coworker? Hello, and welcome back to the story. Today we will be making a recap of a 2011 movie titled Crazy Stupid Love. Warning, there will be some spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk and enjoy. The story begins with couples enjoying dinner, engaging in some flirtatious leg action under the table. However, Emily and Cal stand out as they appear to be an older couple who have moved past the honeymoon phase. Yet, things take a sharp turn when Cal suggests they order quickly, prompting Emily to shock everyone by demanding a divorce. Meanwhile, their babysitter, Jessica, accidentally breaks a family photo while playing with their daughter. As she picks up the broken frame, it becomes apparent that she harbors hidden feelings for Cal. As the babysitter goes upstairs, she accidentally witnesses the older son Robbie playing solo. Back to the couple, Cal, whose world has been turned upside down, remains silent on the drive home, while Emily talks nonstop, trying to provoke a reaction from him. The frustrated Emily finally blurts out that she might have slept with someone else. Cal's expression stays the same as he asks her to stop, prompting her to confess that she indeed had an affair with her coworker named David. Cal, who's already at his breaking point, opens the car door and falls out onto the road because Emily won't stop talking. Fed up, he tells her he'll leave that night and agree to whatever she wants, as long as she stays quiet for the rest of the journey home. Meanwhile, Robbie apologizes to Jessica for witnessing him in a compromising situation. She brushes it off, but Robbie confesses that he thinks about her while doing it. Jessica is disgusted and says that he's crossed a line. Robbie continues, confessing his love for her and claiming that she is his soulmate. The couple return home and Jessica is surprised by Cal's disheveled appearance. He mentions the divorce and it shocked his son, whom Cal didn't notice was listening. Cal drives Jessica home and the babysitter can't help but feel sad for her crush. She tells him that he is the nicest person she knows and that Emily would be crazy if she divorces him. She is about to tell Cal about her feelings, but the sad gentleman interrupts her, unaware of what she is about to say. Meanwhile, an aspiring lawyer named Hannah is hanging out with her friend Liz at the club. They argue about Hannah's seemingly tame life, with Liz suggesting she should live more adventurously. Despite Hannah's reluctance, adventure finds her when she meets Jacob, a charming young man who has been eyeing her for the past half hour. The playboy tells his smooth pickup lines, which immediately charmed Liz, but not Hannah. He offers to buy her a drink and got rejected by the young lady twice. At his office, Cal gets asked by his boss if the rumor is true that he got cancer, which is why he was seen crying in the bathroom. Cal says he was crying because his wife divorced him. The boss is relieved that it is not cancer, and as he tells everyone that Cal just cried because of divorce, they applaud him.
Thanks, feels good.
The devastated husband wastes no time moving furniture into his new home, showing a swift rebound from his divorce. Emily visits him to explain that her infidelity stemmed from a midlife crisis, but Cal remains uninterested in her excuses, focusing instead on reminding her about the chores in the house without him. He refuses to acknowledge the real reasons behind their divorce, blaming it all on her screwing her coworker. To cope with his miserable life, Cal decides to meet up with his friend Bernie at a bar. However, Bernie delivers a blow by ending their friendship, citing that he needs to follow his wife's order and side with Emily this time. Despite this, Bernie tries to make amends by giving Cal some cologne before leaving. Cal, feeling abandoned, vents his frustrations to strangers, unaware that Jacob has been observing his pitiful state for the past 2 days. Jacob, who is now annoyed by Cal's behavior, confronts him and offers to mentor him to regain his confidence.
I'm gonna help you rediscover your manhood.
Desperate for guidance, Cal agrees, and they plan to meet at the mall the next day. While Hannah enjoys lunch with her boyfriend Richard and their colleagues, Richard grabs everyone's attention and hints at a big announcement coming up. Hannah excitedly imagines wedding bells and engagement rings, hoping Richard is finally ready to propose. Meanwhile, Jacob takes Cal on a shopping spree for a brand new wardrobe. With the basics sorted, the playboy Jacob takes on the role of a mentor for Cal, teaching him the ropes of interacting with women.
Let's talk about how many women you've been with.
1.
It becomes evident that Cal is a late bloomer in matters of romance. After showing him how he smoothly gets women every night,
Let's get out of here.
Okay.
Let's get out of here.
Jacob believes Cal is ready to venture out on his own. With a sly wink and nod, Jacob spots a woman in her 40s whom he deems perfect for Cal. Cal musters up the courage and follows Jacob's advice, employing tactics like exaggerating and diverting attention to make an impression on the woman. However, she sees through his act and isn't impressed. Cal shifts gears and decides to be brutally honest,
I have children, plural, and my wife was cheating on me with David Lindhagen.
which surprisingly works in his favor, earning him his first victory, albeit a small one. This initial success sparks a series of wins for Cal as he scores 8 more other women. Meanwhile, Robbie didn't stop courting Jessica as he sends her text messages that made her uncomfortable. He even makes the most embarrassing move as he announces in front of the school his love for her.
Jessica Riley, you are my soulmate.
Annoyed, the babysitter tells him to stop because she will never love him as she is in love with someone else. Robbie goes back to his class heartbroken. Jessica, who really likes Robbie's father, seeks advice from a schoolmate who is known for sleeping with older men. The schoolmate advises her to send risque photos to the guy that she likes. While playing with his dad, Robbie tells Cal about his soulmate, and the father advises him not to give up on her. Robbie asks why he gave up on his mom, to which Cal says he didn't, claiming that he's just a different guy now. The son then asks him to win his mom back because he knows that he still loves her. At Robbie's parent-teacher night, Cal and Emily reunite outside the teacher's office. Their conversation later steers towards their dating status, with both politely denying that they are going out with anyone. They get to reconcile for a moment as they tell each other they miss them. However, when they meet Robbie's teacher, Cal is stunned to discover that she is none other than the first woman he slept with after splitting from Emily. Cal tries to play it cool, hoping the teacher will do the same to avoid any awkwardness. Unfortunately, she makes subtle hints that she and Cal have history, prompting Emily to catch on to the situation. Then, unexpectedly, the teacher drops a bombshell, revealing that she and Cal had been involved romantically. This revelation prompts Emily to storm out of the school in anger. Cal rushes after her, hoping to salvage their relationship. In a moment of desperation, he accidentally spills the beans that he's had slept with 9 other women, but insists that Emily is the one he truly cares for. Emily is about to buy it, but then the teacher loudly says that Cal called her a perfect combination of sexy and cute, something that he usually tells his wife. And so his chance to reconcile with Emily is finally ruined. Back to the seemingly fabulous life of Hannah. The day she had eagerly awaited arrives as Richard gathers everyone's attention, sparking Hannah's excitement for his proposal. However, things take an unexpected turn when Hannah's boyfriend instead proposes for her to become a permanent lawyer at their firm. Disappointed, Hannah expresses her frustration to Richard, who explains that he doesn't believe they're ready for such a commitment yet. Feeling deflated, Hannah seeks solace in alcohol, making some questionable decisions in the process. Hannah enters the bar and spots Jacob. She kisses him passionately and later suggests that they go to his place. They head to Jacob's house, but as the effects of the alcohol wear off, Hannah starts feeling nervous. To distract herself and avoid backing out, she asks Jacob about his technique that would make other women sleep with him. Jacob is hesitant to share at first, but eventually reveals that it's a move he learned from a movie. Hannah tries it, but their plan to become intimate failed. However, they realize that they are emotionally connected as they just talk and laugh the whole night. The depressed Cal has been trying to call his mentor, but Jacob isn't answering as he is busy dating Hannah. Meanwhile, Emily is also enjoying a date with her coworker David. However, as they reach home, Jessica witnesses them kissing goodbye, and the babysitter storms out of the house, expressing her disapproval. Jessica is later back at home preparing to take some risque photos of herself and send it to Cal. Later that night, Cal sneaks into Emily's yard again, and coincidentally, she calls him. She claims to be in the basement asking help with the water heater, but Cal knows she's lying because he can see her upstairs. The next day, Jacob calls Cal, and this time, it is him who asks for Cal's advice on meeting Hannah's mom. Meanwhile, at Jessica's house, the babysitter's mom discovers the hidden mail in her daughter's drawer. It is the revealing photo of Jessica with Cal's name written on the envelope. Jessica's mom then shows the photos to her husband, who turns out to be Bernie. He becomes furious and storms out to confront Cal. Cal, who is unaware of this upcoming disaster, has a surprise plan for Emily. Emily then calls for their oldest daughter, and in an ironic turn of events, their daughter turns out to be Hannah, the newest girl of Cal's Playboy mentor. After finding out who his daughter is dating, Cal gets furious.
Then I will mess you up!
To make matters worse, Jessica's dad arrives and attacks him. Jacob steps in to try and save him, and as Jessica's dad is about to hurt Cal, the babysitter intervenes and loudly confesses her love for Cal. At the same time, Robbie confesses his love for Jessica, and suddenly, David enters the scene with Emily's cardigan, causing confusion until it is revealed that he is Emily's lover, David. To avenge his friend, Jacob punches David in the face, and so the brawl continues.
Stay the hell away from my daughter! Stay away from my daughter!
The police later arrive to break the chaos up. Cal feels like nobody wants to see him after the chaos and goes ghost on everyone. At the bar, Jacob talks to him and explains that what he has for Cal's daughter is true. The Playboy says that all this time he was trying to make Cal become like him, but it turns out that it was him who wanted to become like Cal. Fast forward to Cal attending Robbie's graduation. It's clear he hasn't made up with everyone since he chooses to sit far from his family. On his graduation speech, Robbie talks about love, claiming that it is a scam and that true love does not exist.
Stop!
Cal interrupts and gives his own speech in front of everyone. He announces that his son actually believes in soulmates, and he himself found it when he was just 15 years old. While looking at Emily, Cal promises that he will never stop trying to win back the love of his life. Both father and son conclude their speeches by expressing their love once more for their soulmates.
I still love you, Jessica.
After the speeches, Robbie tells Jessica that he will not give up on her, and the babysitter promises to wait for him until he grows up. She gives him her risque photos as graduation gift, and then kisses the confused boy on the cheek. Cal gets reunited with his family, and he finally accepts Jacob as his daughter's boyfriend.
Take care of her.
He later gets to reconcile with his estranged wife, with both laughing off the struggles they've been through that year. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
Hello, and welcome back to the story. Today we will be making a recap on a 2009 movie titled Chloe. The story begins with a beautiful young woman named Chloe who narrates about her job as a call girl, saying that it is part of her job to know how to please her clients with words and actions. A gynecologist named Catherine watches her from her clinic's window. Her secretary calls her for her next appointment. Catherine's husband David is a college professor who is currently doing lectures in New York. In the middle of his lecture, a hot student tells him they would like to take him out for dinner. He declines because it is his birthday and he's got to fly back home to Toronto. And his students sing birthday song to him. Catherine prepares a surprise birthday party for her husband and tells the guests David will arrive any minute. David later calls and tells his wife that he cannot make it because he missed his flight. We then later see that the hot student is right behind waiting for him. She tells the guests David could not make it, but there's no need to stop the party. After the party, Catherine cries while wiping her face. Next morning, David apologizes and says he did not know there was a surprise party for him. He leaves earlier than usual and tells his wife he will be home late again. Catherine sees her son Michael come out of his room with his girlfriend in their underwear. Michael says his dad knows it and he seems to not have a good relationship with his mother. David left his phone and Catherine sees a message from his student saying thanks for last night and has the picture of them. That night, the couple goes to dinner with their friends. David flirts with the waitress asking what she likes to drink, and Catherine gets upset. She goes to the bathroom teary-eyed. She hears a woman crying in the next stall and Catherine asks if is there anything she can help. The woman asks for toilet paper and Catherine hands her some. The woman then goes out of her stall, and it is Chloe. She thanks Catherine and offers her hairpin. She refuses politely and goes back to their table. Catherine watches Chloe as she sits back next to her client, and she looks back at her. As they drive home, Catherine confronts David about him flirting with the waitress. She also asks him if he intentionally missed his flight and has a drink, and David says no. The next evening, Catherine gets into the hotel bar where Chloe waits for potential clients. Chloe sits next to her and starts to flirt. Chloe says she does not usually meet with women, and Catherine tells her that she thinks her husband is cheating. She wants Chloe to meet him to test and confirm if it is true. The next day, Chloe goes to the coffee shop where David spends his morning. She borrows his sugar and later stares at him. David stares back and smiles. That afternoon, Chloe tells Catherine that nothing happened. She says David just flirted a little and was just being friendly when he asked her name and if she is a student. Catherine asks how is she able to do what she does. Chloe says she just tries to find something to love in everybody no matter how small it is. Catherine then pays her and asks her to meet David one last time to see what will he do. That night, Catherine catches David giggling while chatting with someone on the internet and walks out. She later overhears her son talking on a video call crying. His girlfriend is breaking up with him. Catherine opens the door and Michael angrily curses and jumps to close the door. Catherine is upset and goes back to David, who quickly closes his conversation online. She tells her husband that their son is dumped by his girlfriend. Catherine worries because her son does not talk to her. David tells her that Michael is going to be fine. He takes a bottle of scotch, and the couple shares the drink. David flirts with her and she smiles. They are about to get intimate, but David says he has got a lot of paper to read, and Catherine tells him he should get to work and smiles. The next day, Catherine overhears Michael talking to his dad on the phone. He talks about how he loves his girlfriend and asks his father if it was the same when he first met his mom. Michael talks about how his dad loves to tell him story of how he met his mother and that his mom is the most beautiful woman his dad has ever seen. Catherine smiles listening to this. She later meets Chloe at a bar and tells her she no longer needs to see her husband anymore because she feels reassured about him. Chloe tells her that she already met David. She narrates how they met at the cafe again and had lunch. Chloe added that she and David went to a garden where they kissed passionately, and she felt that he was aroused. Catherine is disappointed and leaves. She is about to enter her car when she sees Chloe fall off her bike. Catherine treats her bruise, and when Chloe takes off her pantyhose, Catherine becomes uneasy. Later on that evening, Chloe narrates more details of her meetup with David, and she confesses that she gave pleasure to him using her hand. Catherine asks Chloe if she is clean of disease, and she assures her that she is, and she will give her the test results. Catherine drives home crying and imagining what Chloe had told her. She later lies in bed beside David, who is still wide awake and looks anxious. The next day, Chloe goes to Catherine's office bringing her test results. While waiting, Chloe overhears Michael asking the receptionist for his tuxedo and learns that he is Catherine's son. While copying sheets for his recital, Chloe approaches Michael and flirts with him. Chloe later gives the test results and reminds Catherine that she is meeting David again as they have agreed. Michael gets his tuxedo, and he is still cold with his mother as he leaves without even thanking her. While having lunch with her friends, Catherine receives a message from Chloe telling her the room of the hotel. Her friends notice her odd behavior and thinks that Catherine is having an affair, and she denies it and leaves. At the hotel, Catherine enters the room and Chloe tells her that David slept with her there. Chloe narrates the details, and instead of getting mad, Catherine starts to get aroused. She hands the payment to Chloe, and they later leave the room. Catherine tells how David and her used to be full of love before. She sits down and starts to cry. Chloe kneels down to console her, then she suddenly kisses her. Catherine is shocked and leaves. Later that evening, Catherine attends her son's piano recital and sits far from David. After the recital, Catherine sees her husband talking with a waitress. David approaches her and kisses her hands. A female student suddenly calls David, which made Catherine more disappointed, so she leaves. Catherine goes to the hotel and interrupts Chloe, who is talking with a client. The two go to a room where Chloe comforts her by kissing and caressing her all over. The two ladies are later humping. They then ride a cab home. Catherine asks Chloe not to see her husband again. Before she leaves, Chloe offers her hairpin again and asks Catherine if she will see her again. Catherine could not answer and tells her that she is exhausted, then she leaves. When Catherine enters their house, she sees David waiting for her. He asks her who is she cheating with, and Catherine responds angrily telling him he was the one who cheated first. David yells saying he never had an affair. Michael interferes and they tell him to leave them alone and he angrily leaves. At her office, Catherine finds out she has several urgent missed calls from Chloe and an email that contains a picture of the two naked in bed. She quickly calls and asks Chloe where she is, and she says that she was just in her waiting room the whole time. She enters the office carrying flowers and Catherine locks the door. Catherine confesses that she enjoyed their romance, but they need to stop. She writes a check to pay her, and Chloe cries and tells her their relationship is real and has nothing to do with money. Catherine says that it was just business, and it is over. Then she asks Chloe to leave. Chloe is devastated and wants revenge. She later goes to Michael's hockey practice and flirts with him. She confesses that she stalked him on his social media account, and he smiles. Catherine later receives a message from Chloe saying she met with David again. She calls her and Chloe says David is falling in love with her. Enraged, Catherine tells Chloe to meet her at a cafe. At the cafe, David arrives. Catherine says she wants to set things straight and tell each other everything. David started with what happened in New York and he confesses that he lied. He missed his flight on purpose because he didn't want to celebrate his birthday, so he stayed and had a drink. Catherine says she knows about Miranda and David says he never screwed his student. Chloe arrives and she is surprised that David is there. David asks Catherine why she is staring at the girl and he obviously does not know Chloe. Chloe leaves and Catherine realizes that the stories Chloe told her about her affair with David are not true. It is now Catherine's turn, and she admits that she did have an affair, but she can't say it. David is heartbroken and says he got tempted a lot of times but never gave in, so he leaves. Catherine runs after him and confesses that she conspired with a call girl named Chloe to test him. She narrates how Chloe made up a story and lied that David slept with her. Catherine admits that she has insecurities because of her old age and then confesses that she slept with Chloe. David hugs her and they kiss passionately. Chloe goes to Catherine's home and approaches Michael. They go to his parents' room where Chloe finds her hairpin. She starts seducing Michael. David has to hurry to the school, so he leaves. Catherine arrives home and at their room, she finds Michael on their bed beside Chloe. She sends Michael out of their room so she can talk with Chloe alone. Chloe tells her that she cannot just invite someone into their life and tell them to go away once she's done using them. She tells Catherine that she is in love with her, and Catherine apologizes for misleading her. Chloe takes her hairpin and threatens her with it. She asks Catherine to kiss her, and she does. Michael is able to get inside the room and when Catherine sees her son's reflection, she gets startled and accidentally pushes Chloe to the window. She is still able to hold onto the glass but then she lets go and falls to her demise. The movie ends at their house where they are holding a graduation party for Michael. Months have already passed since the incident, but we can see that Catherine and Michael still mourns for Chloe's death. When a guest calls her, Catherine looks behind and we can see that she is wearing the hairpin that Chloe gave her. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
A man named Tim lives with his odd but loving family, his always busy mother Mary, his retired father James who always talks and plays table tennis with him, his adorable uncle Desmond, and his carefree sister named Kit Kat. Together, the family follow the same routine like having tea by the beach every single day, and movie night every Friday evening. Every year, they also host a New Year's Eve party for their friends and family. Before the clock strikes 12, Tim's friend Jay wants to find a girl for him, so he drags him, and they accidentally knock over a table. His friend later leaves him with a girl named Polly, and when the countdown is over, Polly leans in for the New Year's kiss, but he shakes her hand instead, making the girl disappointed. The next morning, Tim wakes up with a hangover and shame for himself. His father later calls him to his room to tell him something that will change his life forever. That is when his father James tells him of his family secret, that every man in the family has the ability to travel back in time. Tim thought it is a joke, but then James says it's true and he explains that they can travel only up to the moment they've been to. Although Tim is still skeptical, he is curious how does it work, and James tells him to just go into a dark place like a big cupboard, clench his fist, and think of the moment he wants to go to. Tim says he will try it, and if it turns out to be a joke, he warns his father that he will be in trouble. He decides to get inside his closet, clench his fist and thinks about the party last night. Moments later, Tim opens the closet, and he is shocked that he is already wearing the clothes he wore during the party. He goes downstairs and is even more surprised that he is actually back to the New Year's Eve party. Jay drags him again, and this time, he pulls his friend so they won't knock over the table. When the countdown is over, Tim goes straight to kiss Polly. Now convinced of his ability, Tim goes back to the present to talk with his father and ask advice. James tells him not to use the ability for money or he will end up like his grandfather. No love, and no friends. He tells his son to think of something that will make him genuinely happy, and all Tim can only think about for now is to find a girlfriend. That summer, Kit Kat's friend Charlotte comes over for a 2-month vacation in their house. Tim is instantly attracted to her. One day while sunbathing, Charlotte asks Tim to put sunscreen on her back, and the guy quickly jumps to help her. Tim ends up spilling the whole bottle on her and gets embarrassed. He runs quickly to the cupboard to time travel, and this time when Charlotte asks him for the sunscreen, he is no longer jumpy, and he did not spill the sunscreen anymore. Throughout the summer, Tim tries to impress his sister's friend, but he always fails. On Charlotte's last night in the house, Tim gathers courage and goes to her room. He confesses his feelings to her, but then Charlotte tells him that he should have said it earlier, when they still had time. With this in mind, Tim goes back to the cupboard and travels back in time. He goes to her room again and confesses, but this time, Charlotte tells him that they should see how summer goes and to ask her again on her last night. Tim seems to have lost hope. On her last day, Charlotte bids farewell, and Tim realizes that no time travel in the world can make someone love him. That next day, it's Tim's turn to leave the house to pursue his law career in London. He will be staying with his father's friend Harry. Harry turns out to be a cynical playwright who is always angry. In his first day at the law firm, he befriends a man named Rory. Pursuing his career did not help in his romantic life as 6 months has passed and Tim still has not found a girlfriend. Until one evening, when Jay invites him on a restaurant where diners eat in complete darkness. They share a table with 2 ladies and Tim has a good conversation with one of them. After dinner, Jay goes with Joanna to get her a cab, and a while later, Mary goes out, the one whom Tim talked with. He is stunned and couldn't almost talk, but he manages to awkwardly ask for her number. They plan to meet again, and Tim seems to have fallen in love. He goes home smiling and happy, but when he arrives, he finds Harry is very much agitated. An actor on his new play forgot his line. To help him, Tim decides to go to his dark room and time travels. He comes with Harry on his play, and he made sure that the actor would rehearse his lines. The play is going well, until another actor forgot his line, so Tim goes back in time again and this time, with his help at the backstage, the play has successfully finished, and Harry now looks happy. Tim later goes to call Mary, but to his dismay, her number isn't there. His dinner with her never happened because he went back in time to help Harry. Tim goes home disappointed. The next morning, Harry shows him the news about his successful play. But then, Tim sees the ad about an exhibit on Kate Moss. Tim remembers well that Mary is a fan of Kate Moss, so he goes to the exhibit where he sits and waits for several days. 1 week has passed, and Mary has finally shown up. He approaches her and Mary is weirded out by him at first, but with his perseverance, he finally gets to have lunch with her and her friend. But then Tim is heartbroken when he learns that Mary has now a boyfriend named Rupert. He asks where and when they met, and he learns that it was just a week ago during Joanna's party. Tim immediately goes to the toilet and travels back to 1 week ago. He goes to Joanna's party and finds Mary to be alone and bored. He introduces himself and invites her to skip the party and have dinner instead. She gladly accepts and the two later gets to know each other better. Mary had a great evening with him, and the two later goes to her house, where Tim spends the night with her. Over the course, their relationship flourishes and Tim has already moved in with Mary. One day, Mary's parents come over to the house, and Tim's first meeting with them goes very awkward, so he travels back in time until it worked out. That night, Tim invites Mary to a theater, but she is too tired to come, so Tim goes with Rory instead. After the show, he sees Charlotte, his first love. He goes to talk with her, and it didn't go well, so he goes back in time, and it still became awkward. So, on the 3rd time, Tim decides not to approach her anymore. However, outside the theater, it is Charlotte who sees and approaches him. She then invites Tim to have dinner with her, and the two had a fun and great conversation. She tells him about her regret on rejecting him last summer. Charlotte later invites him to her apartment and teases him to get inside, but then Tim turns her down. He runs away, back to the one he truly loves. When he arrives, he wakes Mary up to ask her to marry him, and she gladly says yes. That summer, Tim brings his girlfriend home to meet his family. She immediately gets close to them as she joins on their usual tea by the beach. Meanwhile, Tim is bonding with his father on a table tennis match. During dinner, Tim announces that he and Mary are getting married, and everyone are so happy for them. They even get more ecstatic when they learn that they are having a baby. It is their wedding day, and though their outdoor reception is getting ruined by the storm, everyone is still having fun. The tent is totally teared up, so everyone runs and has to continue the party indoor. Tim has chosen Rory as the best man, but his speech is very terrible, so Tim runs to his wardrobe and decides to change things. He first chose Harry to do the speech, but it is horrendous, so he changes him with Jay, and still, it is a disaster. Finally, Tim chooses his father to do the toast and he shares how proud he is with his son. Few months later, and Mary has given birth to their daughter they named Posey. They have moved to a new house, and Tim narrates how he is enjoying every moment of his life, that he feels like time travel is no longer necessary. But little did he know, something will change this. On Posey's first birthday, everybody is present except for Kit Kat. Moments later, her boyfriend Jimmy arrives saying they had argument that morning, then Kit Kat gets drunk and drove away with the car. She is caught in an accident and Tim rushes to the hospital with Mary where they find Kit Kat who is badly injured. Tim then travels back in time before the accident to fetch Kit Kat, and they safely arrive home. While talking with his sister, Tim realizes that he only temporarily saved her. Her real problem is with her boyfriend, and Tim decides that he needs to do something with it. He confesses to Kit Kat about his ability to time travel, and now, he plans to bring his sister back in time so she can do things differently. They are later back to the New Year's Eve party where Kit Kat is supposed to meet her boyfriend Jimmy for the first time. They later find the guy, and this time, instead of getting to know him, Kit Kat punches and kicks Jimmy. The two then go back to the cupboard, and when they are back to the present, Kit Kat realizes that she is in love with her brother's friend Jay. It turns out that the two are already in relationship on the new timeline, and it is a better one. Tim looks happy and satisfied as he goes home to his wife. But then when he carries his baby, Tim is shocked because it is no longer his daughter Posey, and he has now a baby boy instead. He consults with his father about this, and he learns that he shouldn't go past the birth of his child, or he will have a different baby. Realizing that he could not change his sister's life, he goes back to the moment where his sister got into the accident. Tim and Mary stay with Kit Kat in the hospital, and they wouldn't leave her alone unless she leaves Jimmy for good. Mary advises Kit Kat that she go out with someone nice, and Tim suggests Jay, saying he had a crush on her. As they arrive home, Tim is happy to see his daughter Posey, and he tells Mary that they should have another one. Although Mary says no, just a couple of years later, we can see that they already have a second baby, and they look very happy. One night while Mary is busy preparing for her dinner with a best-selling author, Tim realizes that he left Posey near his wife's very important manuscript. When they check, their daughter had already shredded almost all of it. Mary is very mad, and Tim decides to go back in time to fix it, but before he can do it, they got a call from his mother, telling them the sad news: his father has a cancer. They immediately go to their beach house, and Tim talks with his father. James said his cancer might have been because of his smoking, but he could not undo it because it was way before Tim and Kit Kat were born. He also reveals that he might only have a couple of weeks left. Before they leave, James teaches his son his secret formula for happiness. First is to get on with ordinary life and live it day by day with all the tensions and worries. And second is to live every day again almost exactly the same, but this time, to enjoy and notice how sweet the world can be. Tim lives happily as he follows this formula, although there are days that he only wants to go through once, like the funeral of his father. Unprepared to bid farewell, Tim goes back in time when his father is still alive. James realizes that his son just came from his funeral, and they casually talk about it. Tim is happy that he can go back anytime he misses his father. However, one day, Mary tells him that she wants a third baby. It is a tough decision for Tim because it would mean he will no longer be able to travel back to the time when his father is still alive. Months later, and the baby is almost on the way. Tim travels back to speak with his father, and it will be for the last time. While he is playing table tennis with him, Tim starts to cry, and James realizes that it must be the last time they would see each other again. The two decides to travel back in time together when Tim is still young. While being careful not to change anything in the present, the two spend their last moments together by the beach. Back to the present, Tim learns to accept that he'll no longer see his father as Mary has now given birth to their third baby. Kit Kat is now also a happy mom herself with her child with Jay. At the end, Tim learns his own formula for happiness. He no longer travels back in time, and instead, he lives every day and enjoys it like it will be the final day of his life. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
He lost his memory and gets accused of a brutal crime, until he finds out the disturbing truth about his wife in the city. Hello, and welcome back to the story. Today we will be making a recap on a 1998 movie titled The Dark City. Warning, there will be some spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk and enjoy. The story begins in an old hotel where a man named John wakes up confused and naked in a bathtub. He puts on a coat and finds a key in one of its pockets. He also finds a briefcase which contains a postcard of a place named Shell Beach, and he gets a brief flashback of a younger him on a beach. The phone rings and a doctor named Schreiber tells him that John lost his memory because of an experiment that went wrong. John is scared, and the doctor tells him that there are people coming for him, so he must leave the hotel immediately. John suddenly hangs up when he sees something. A woman is lying lifeless on the floor beside a bloodied knife. John is able to run away just in time as the strange-looking man arrives. The hotel manager tells him that the fast food restaurant called and said John left his wallet there. When the hotel manager checks John's room, he gets grabbed by the strange men. One of them sees the broken syringe and asks the manager where Mr. Murdoch is. After he answers, the stranger commands him to sleep. The manager immediately drops down and falls asleep. John's wife Emma is a singer at a bar. After her performance, a waitress tells Emma that her husband's doctor wants to speak with her. Emma checks the business card, and it is from Dr. Schreiber. She later visits him, and the doctor tells her that John suffered a psychotic break and completely lost his memory. He adds that John could be violent, so Emma must let the doctor know immediately if John contacts her. A police inspector named Frank is investigating a series of murders that targets call girls. He arrives at the hotel and finds out that the suspect's name is Jay Murdoch. John arrives at the fast food restaurant, and the staff tells him about his wallet. He puts it in one of the vending machines, and John tries to take it, but the door is jammed. He gazes at the vending machine, and it just suddenly pops open. As he tries to leave, a police officer stops him. But then a call girl comes in and helps him get away. The two later go to the call girl's apartment. Back at the crime scene, Frank's superior arrives and tells him that the murderer is on the loose because the previous chief inspector has gone crazy. A while later, the ex-chief inspector named Walensky runs inside. As if he's gone mad, Walensky shouts, "They're watching us, and there's no way out." The police officers drag him away. At the station, Emma approaches Inspector Frank to file a missing person report for her husband. The inspector invites her to his office and shows Emma a list of female names. Frank says her husband is a suspect for their murder. Emma gets mad and walks out. Meanwhile, at the call girl's apartment, John checks his wallet and finds a picture of his wife. He then finally finds out that his name is John Murdoch. He asks the call girl if she is not afraid that he might be the killer, and she answers that he does not look like one. John sees a little girl and he smiles, and then leaves. A while later, John sees a billboard of Shell Beach. He goes up and then notices that there are newspapers inside his jacket. Those are cut articles about the killer of street walkers. John realizes that he must be the murderer. The strangers appear and one of them commands John to sleep. But he is confused as his power does not work on him. As they go near him, John uses his powers to break the floor, and one of the strangers falls down. The other stranger is shocked and screams, "He can tune!" A stranger jumps behind John, and he falls down onto the ropes. He notices the hand of the billboard is attached to the rope, so John pulls it, and the billboard's hand cuts the head of one of the strangers. The other strangers seem to also suffer the same pain. And when John looks at the dead stranger's head, he sees a creature coming out. He runs away and escapes. The strangers have gathered and talks about John's ability to tune, and why the doctor did not report it. Their leader, Mr. Book, later arrives and orders them to capture John. Emma arrives home, and she is surprised to see John. She says she has been worried about him, but John does not know her. He says that he saw a key in his pocket, so he assumed that he lived there. Emma realizes that John really lost his memory, so she tells him about Dr. Schreiber. She reveals that she cheated on him. That's why he left her. Emma asks if it is true that he murdered those call girls, and John says that he went with a call girl earlier to test if he can actually do it, but he did not, and Emma believes him. When John sees the cop's car, he hurriedly leaves, but Inspector Frank is waiting for him outside. John says he is not the killer and that there are a group of men after him and wants him dead. Emma jumps at Frank so John can escape. John finds Dr. Schreiber and he follows him as he leaves his clinic. The doctor is taking a bath in a sauna when one of the strangers, Mr. Hand, comes in and shows him the broken syringe. The doctor says he tried to imprint John, but he woke up and knocked the syringe out of his hand. John is just hiding in the locker room, listening to them. Mr. Hand says John knows how to tune, and the doctor could not believe it, saying the strangers are the only ones who can do it. Mr. Hand says it is almost midnight, and they need to start the tuning. John continues to follow the doctor, and he sees him enter a door that just suddenly appeared on the wall, then disappears. Inside, the strangers are preparing the props for their subjects like the photo albums, wallets, and IDs. Dr. Schreiber is concocting the memories that they will later imprint on the subject's dot. The strangers later gather to start the tuning. The head statue opens to reveal a big clock. In the meantime, people above are in their usual business like the poor couple where a husband is complaining about his job, and the wife is complaining about taking care of the kids. As the clock strikes 12, all other clocks, trains, and cars suddenly stop, and everybody in the city drops down and falls asleep. John, on the other hand, is wide awake and gets confused when he sees everything is not moving. He tries to wake the people up, but they just drop unconscious. Mr. Books then orders to commence the tuning. Different buildings start to rise from the ground. John sees the strangers put different people in different places in the city. As with the poor family earlier, the strangers change their clothes into expensive ones. The house also transforms into a huge and luxurious mansion. And Dr. Schreiber starts to inject the imprint on the couple's head. John later confronts the doctor and asks what is happening. The doctor says it is not safe to talk outside, which makes John mad and accidentally throws the doctor using his power. Dr. Schreiber is surprised that John could actually do it. He tells him that he can teach John to control it, so they can fight the strangers and take back the city. A door appears and John runs away. The tuning is done, and everything starts to move again. The people also wake up like nothing happened, and they go on with their business. The now rich couple wakes up, and they are now talking about their business firm. At the lair, the doctor has finished concocting a similar imprint that he tried to inject on John. Mr. Hand suggests injecting it into his head so they can find John. Mr. Wall opposes it and says imprinting is dangerous for them. Mr. Book insists that it is their only option. The doctor proceeds with the imprint, and Mr. Hand gets to see John's fabricated memory of Shell Beach, his wife, and his murder of the call girls. Meanwhile, John finds a message at the back of the postcard. It is from his uncle named Carl. He searches the phone book for his uncle's address, and when he asks a newspaper guy how to get there, John is shocked. He is the same guy as the hotel manager. He asks him how long has he been working in the newspaper store, and the man replies 25 years. The strangers first arrive at the call girl's apartment and ask for John, but they got nothing. Mr. Hand follows John's imprinted memory and kills the call girl. In the train, John sees Shell Beach on the map. He asks how to get there, and the man says to take the express train. John waits as the express train arrives, but it does not stop. A man tells him that there is no way out of the city, and he tried everything already. It is Walensky, and he says that he accidentally woke up one midnight and finds out that the strangers are swapping people's memories and changing the city. Walensky says there is only one way out, and he suddenly jumps and gets hit by the train. Emma finds the call girl's apartment that John told her about. When she comes in, she finds the call girl lifeless. She runs away but is then stopped by Inspector Frank, who has been following her. John later arrives at his uncle's place. Uncle Carl shows him his pictures from when he was a kid playing at Shell Beach. John asks him how to get there, but Uncle Carl says he does not remember. When he asks what happened to his parents, Uncle Carl says they died when a fire broke out in their house. John notices in the picture that he got burn scars on his arm. He shows his arm to his uncle, and it has no scar. Uncle Carl is confused, and John says that everything is just all lies. Back at the call girl's apartment, Emma explains to Frank what she is doing there. A while later, she hears something and goes to check it. She sees the little girl hiding under the bed. Frank checks the girl's drawing, and it shows 3 men wearing black and stabs her mother. Back at his uncle's house, John starts to wonder why it is still nighttime. His uncle gets confused and tells John to get some sleep. Uncle Carl later calls Emma and tells her that John is at his house and is acting strange. Emma says she will get there, and they hang up. As Emma and the inspector leave, we can see that Mr. Hand is just outside the window listening. He then flies on the way to Uncle Carl's house. At their lair, the strangers get ready for another tuning. As the clock strikes 12, everyone stops and sleeps again except for John. He sees the stranger outside his uncle's house, so he runs upstairs. Mr. Hand catches up to him. John punches him and pins him down. Mr. Hand is able to escape when the roof suddenly changes. The tuning finally stops, and the people start waking up again. John tries to run away from the strangers, but he is trapped. Frank and Emma arrive in a car, and John quickly jumps in, and they drive away. At the station, Frank asks John about the last murdered call girl, and John says she was alive when he left her. Frank gets mad and asks John to stop telling lies because he is already confused. John says everything does not really make sense in the city. He asks the inspector if he knows about Shell Beach, and Frank says he does. But when John asks how to get there, Frank finds it hard to answer. John also asks him when was the last time he saw daylight, and Frank is speechless. Frank says there must be a good explanation for all that's happening. John makes the book float using his power, and asks the inspector to explain it. Frank is astonished. At the visitation booth, Emma apologizes to John for what she did before, but John says she did not do anything, because her affair never happened in the first place. There are just people who manipulated their memories to make them think they have done things. Emma says I love you, and even if what he is saying were true, her feelings for him could never be faked. John uses his power to break the glass and kiss Emma. The police then take him away. The assistant police tell Frank that the chief wants to see him to congratulate the inspector on capturing the killer. On his way, Frank takes out the key to the jail cell. A while later, the strangers arrive at the police station and make the officers fall asleep. They ask the chief to take them to John, but when they arrive at his cell, John is no longer there. John goes to the sauna and asks Dr. Schreiber to explain everything. Dr. Schreiber takes out a syringe and forces John to inject it himself because they don't have much time. He says all he needs to know is in the syringe. Inspector Frank appears behind the doctor and takes out his gun. John takes the syringe from the doctor and hides it in his jacket for safekeeping. The inspector says it's time to go. When the doctor asks where, Frank says Shell Beach. John is shocked and smiles. John later asks Frank, why is he helping him? And the inspector says he just wants to know the truth. Dr. Schreiber says they won't find anything outside the map because he tried it before. They reach the end of the road, and they ride a boat to cross the canal. Dr. Schreiber explains that the strangers are alien parasites who use human dead bodies as their hosts. Their race is on the brink of extinction, and they think that their only way to survive is if they unlock the secret of a human soul. They think that they can do it if they get to understand how human memories work. That is why they mix and match the memories of different subjects. The strangers wanted to study a murderer. That's why they try to imprint John a new personality and set up his life and history. The doctor reveals that John had dozens of lives before, but on the last imprint, he was able to resist it and somehow develop the stranger's ability to tune. Tuning is what they call their power to change things, and it is how they built the city. The strangers control everything in the city, even the sun. It is always dark because the strangers could not stand the light. They finally reach the edge of the city, and when they open the door, they are stunned. It is just a poster of Shell Beach on a wall. Frustrated, they tear off the poster and break the wall. John uses his power, and the wall finally breaks away, revealing the outer space. The strangers arrive with Emma as their hostage. One of the strangers tries to stab them, but Frank fights with him until they both fall out of the wall and break away from the force field. We can now see that the entire city is actually a floating habitat in outer space. Threatening to kill Emma, John surrenders to the strangers. They later bring him to their lair. Mr. Book believes that John could help them finally get what they were looking for. He forces the doctor to imprint their collective memory on John to make him one of them and share his soul. The doctor sneakily takes the syringe that John has hidden in his jacket, and it is what he injects on his head. John sees that his memory has been altered by the doctor, where Dr. Schreiber trains him every day since his childhood to master the tuning power of the strangers. John later wakes up and breaks free. He easily knocks out the strangers and fights evenly with their leader, Mr. Book. After the intense battle, John manages to defeat Mr. Book. John asks Dr. Schreiber where Emma is, and the doctor says she has been re-imprinted, and he cannot return her memories because the facility was destroyed. Using his new power, he creates a sea outside of the city. When Dr. Schreiber asks where is he heading, John says,
Shell Beach.
We can see that Emma now works at the ticket booth, and her name is now Anna. She rides a bus on the way to Shell Beach. John runs into Mr. Hand, who reveals that he is dying because John's imprint is not compatible with their kind. John says the strangers were looking for the human soul in the wrong place. He then rotates the habitat so that it would face towards the sun, and for the first time, the city experiences sunlight. When John opens the door, he sees Emma, who now has a new memory and identity. They introduce each other's name as they walk to Shell Beach. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
What would you do if your husband and your lover plots to get rid of you? Hello, and welcome back to the story. Today, we will be making a recap of a 1998 movie titled A Perfect Murder. Warning, there will be some spoilers ahead, so watch at your own risk and enjoy. The story begins with a wealthy investor named Stephen, who is married to his wife Emily, who looks much younger. She pretends sweet in front of him, but when she turns back, we can see her distaste. That evening, the couple attends a museum opening and meet their rich friends. Emily secretly meets a man named David, who seems to have an affair with her. Stephen sees them and Emily introduces David to him, saying he's a painter. They talk about David's works, and Stephen says he'd love to visit his gallery sometime. Next morning, Emily attends a meeting at UN where she works as translator for the ambassador. Meanwhile, Stephen is in his office where he finds out about the current disaster of his investments. After her work, Emily visits David in his studio. While making coffee, David seduces her, and they later make love. A while later, they get interrupted when Stephen calls. He says he would love to see David's works today, and the two looks dismayed. Later that day, David shows Stephen his studio. Stephen checks his artworks, but later on, he reveals that he knows about David's affair with his wife. David says they are in love, and Stephen gets mad, saying he is just scamming his wife. He knows that David went to prison for defrauding a widow of her life savings, and that was the second time already. David says Emily loves him, and Stephen says it wouldn't work, because if she marries him, her advisor would insist a prenup, and David would not get anything. Stephen gives him a choice. He can either tell Emily the truth, or he can cash out. He offers $500,000 to kill his wife. David threatens to tell Emily about his plan and call the cops. Stephen says that he knows about his last victim, and if he turns David in, it would be his third conviction, which means 15 years in prison with no parole. Stephen tells David to come by his apartment tomorrow for the advance payment, and he leaves. Outside, Stephen takes out a letter with the picture of his wife's affair, put it in an envelope that is addressed to him, and drops it in the mailbox. The next day, David goes to Stephen's apartment while Emily is at work. Stephen tells him how he can enter their apartment without being caught. He says that he will take Emily's key, and he shows David where he would hide it. David asks why can't he just leave him his key, and Stephen says it would implicate him. Stephen says he will call the phone, and when Emily answers, that is when he will do the thing. He should make it look like he is just a burglar who got caught and accidentally kills Emily. Stephen later hands him the 100 grand advanced payment. The next evening, Emily arrives and leaves her key on the tray. Steve says he is leaving for his evening card game, and before he leaves, he takes out Emily's door key and places it under the pipe. As he goes out from the gate, he sees David, who is wearing a mask. David sneaks in and takes the key to unlock the door. Meanwhile, Stephen is playing cards with his friends. He later calls the electronic trading system in his office, and then gets a burner phone to call their home number. Emily answers it, but Stephen puts the phone in mute. That is when David attacks her. After several minutes of struggling, Emily gets hold of the meat thermometer and stabs the neck of her attacker. David drops dead, while Emily passes out. Stephen can no longer hear anything, which means Emily must have died, and he continues playing. He arrives, expecting that his wife is dead, but he is horrified when he sees her crying. Stephen panics when he hears that 911 is already coming. He jimmies the door, so it would look like the burglar has broken in the house. He takes out the key from David's jacket and puts it back on Emily's keyring. The police arrive, and Stephen leads them to the dead burglar. Detective Karaman tells Stephen that his footprints were found in the blood around the body and asks him what was he doing. Stephen says he was making sure the burglar's dead. When an officer takes off the mask, Stephen is shocked to find out he is not David, and the detective gets suspicious. As the police are taking out the body in a bag, we can see that David is just watching across the street and assumes that it was Emily. In his studio, David is very much devastated as he stares at Emily's portrait. At the station, Emily talks about the strange phone call she received before the attack. The police later identify the burglar, and they find out that he is a career criminal. Their lawyer says it is clear that what Emily did was self-defense. The next day, Stephen brings his wife to stay at her mother's house, and we can see that Emily has a very wealthy family. While she is alone in her room, Emily calls David to tell him that she is okay and that she'll be back soon as she can. David feels relieved. When Stephen goes to the room, he finds the phone next to Emily. He hits the redial button, and he finds out that her wife has called David. He tells him to meet at a ferry. The next day, the two meet and talks about what happened. David asks what would be their plan B. Stephen says it would be coincidental if there is another attempt on her life, so they should wait. At Stephen's office, we find out the worsening crisis on his investments. Emily arrives home, and when she tries to unlock the door, her key does not work. She asks the doorman for new key and asks him if her husband has changed the locks, and the doorman says no. Stephen later arrives, and Emily tells him that she could not stay with him anymore. At her friend's apartment, Emily tells Raquel about her suspicions on Stephen. Raquel says that her husband cannot do that because he's rich, and her money is protected by a prenup. But then Emily admits that they didn't have a prenup. Stephen offered, but she said no. Raquel says it means if she dies, then Stephen could get her $100 million trust fund. Emily asks the ambassador's help so she can talk with the federal regulator. He tells Emily that her husband is having a huge financial problem, and he might get in trouble soon if he can't find additional cash to maintain his loan. This further strengthens Emily's suspicion on her husband's motive. She goes to Detective Karaman to tell him this. But then the detective says Stephen is no longer a suspect because they have traced the phone call he made that night to an electronic trading system. Karaman says it is a very solid alibi, but there is one thing that puzzles him. The burglar has wallets and everything, but he does not have any key, even to his apartment. At his office, Stephen receives a call from David, and he finds out that David has recorded Stephen while he was instructing him on how to kill his wife. David then says to meet him in a diner right now. The two later meet. David asks for the rest of the payment, or he will turn him in. Stephen says it will take him days, but then David gives him only 4 hours, and if he didn't show up with the cash, David will mail in his recording. Emily checks the burglar's record and finds out his address. She later goes to his apartment and uses the key on her keychain. She manages to unlock the door, which only means that the key Stephen took and put to Emily's keyring is the burglar's key to his apartment. She later confronts her husband and asks why did he put the dead man's key on her keychain. Stephen says to protect her from her lover. He shows her the letter with the pictures of her affair, which appears to be a blackmail from David. Stephen says he already paid David 100 grand to stop his evil plan on Emily, but he wants more. Emily does not believe him, but then Stephen gives her David's criminal record, which shows that he has been scamming lonely women for their money. Stephen says he has done everything in his power to protect her from this criminal. Emily is sorry for what her husband has to go through. She asks him if that's the reason why his business is in trouble. Stephen is shocked that Emily knows it, but then he says he can always make money, and what's important is her. Emily asks again why he put the burglar's key in her keychain. Stephen says he thought it was David who attacked her. Their door was not forced open, so he assumes David had taken her key. And to protect her from implication, he took the key and put it back on her keychain and jimmied the door so it would look like a normal burglary. Emily apologizes and Stephen says he has forgiven her and they reconcile. When she says they have to tell the police, Stephen says they can't because he tampered with evidence and paid off David's blackmail. Emily asks what should they do, and Stephen says they need to disassociate themselves from David. But then she says she left her ring in his loft. Stephen says he will get it, and he leaves. Carrying the cash with him, Stephen arrives at David's studio. He is not there, but Stephen finds a note with Emily's ring, saying to meet him in the park instead. David's phone rings, and when Stephen answers it, he finds out that David has booked for a train. At the park, Stephen hands David the 400 grand. He gives him the audio tape and shakes his hand. Before he leaves, Stephen tells him to take care, and David gets worried that he might have hired someone to follow him. He later arrives in his train cabin, and when someone knocks, he prepares his gun. But it turns out to be just the attendant, so he calms down. When he opens his bathroom, Stephen appears and stabs him. He takes David's gun and finds a receipt for the mailing service. He learns that David has mailed a copy of the tape to Emily. When David finally succumbs to death, Stephen rushes home. He finds the unopened mail that has the tape and hurriedly hides it in his vault, together with the gun and money. Emily arrives and Stephen gives her back the ring and invites her for dinner outside. When he goes to shower, Emily notices the paper bag where Stephen put the money, but she finds it empty, and she is puzzled. A while later, she tells Stephen that they should change the locks, because she still can't find her key. Her husband says he will call the locksmith tomorrow. Stephen then goes to the service entrance, and he finds Emily's key in the pipe. He realizes that the assailant has put the key back after opening the door. Emily suddenly comes out and says she already knows everything. She figured out the combination to his vault, and she plays the audio tape that he hid. She gets mad and is about to leave when he attacks her. After several struggle, Emily takes out David's gun and shoots Stephen until he drops dead. The police later arrives, and Emily plays the audio tape where Stephen is giving David instructions on how to kill her. She explains that Stephen attacked her and she shoots him as self-defense. Detective Karaman says, "What else could you do?" and Emily feels relieved. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be updated for new movie recaps, hit the notification bell.
Hello and welcome back to the story. Today, we will be doing a recap on a 2019 movie titled Can You Keep a Secret? The story begins at an office in Chicago. Emma is trying to pitch for an organic energy drink called Panda Prime to a cruise company. She tries hard to sell the product with energy and with an impressive pitch. However, the client still rejected her. She is upset and calls her friend Lissy to tell her what happened. She then decides to get drunk before her flight back to New York. Emma boards the flight drunk and sad. The kind flight attendant pities her and upgrades her economy seat to a first class to cheer her a bit. Before the flight takes off, a handsome young man named Jack sits next to her. During the flight, when the plane hits a strong turbulence, Emma starts to think that she is about to die. Emma panicked and spilled her weirdest secrets on Jack. Jack lets her continue talking rather than scream and panic. And so, she keeps opening about her secrets. Like how she messed up her pitch, how she wanted to pee standing up, crying when hears a specific song, how her boyfriend goes under her using his and that she thinks she has never been in love. She is talking about how she wished for an amazing romance when Jack interrupts her. He tells her that they have already landed and that he needs to leave already. Emma hurriedly leaves first without even saying goodbye. Outside the airport, her boyfriend Connor pulls up in his small car. Connor is so glad that Emma is still alive, so he runs and hugs her. Right there and then, Connor asks Emma if she can move in with him and she agrees. Jack, who is just behind them, saw this. The next morning, Emma wakes up in bed beside Connor and he is so happy that she is finally living with him. Emma arrives at the office and finds that it is being renovated. She finds out that the CEO of Panda Prime Jack is visiting. Emma is flabbergasted when she finds out that it is the guy she sits beside on the flight, the guy whom she talked to about all her weird secrets. Jack recognizes her right away. Emma is shrinking with shame as Jack is indirectly teasing her. This makes her remember the secrets she has told him. While Jack is in his office, Emma comes in and asks him to not fire her. He assures her that he is not going to fire her. Jack asks her for a favor in return, which is to not tell anyone that he went to Chicago, to which Emma promises to keep. Emma asks him back to also keep the secrets she have revealed to him, to which Jack agrees. When Emma is about to leave, Jack tries to confirm and asks her if it is true that she has never really been in love. Emma tries to deny she ever said that, then continues to say that no one really has an idea what love is. She went on to leave his office. After her work, Emma goes to her friend's house, Lissy, and tells her about her situation. Lissy tries offering some consolation, but the two girls know that only God can save her from this mess. Emma also tells Lissy about how her relationship with her boyfriend is going cold. Lissy tells her to spice things by doing it at work. Connor and Emma work at the same place. Emma nods and decides to give it a try. Next day at the office, Emma's boss Sybil makes the announcement that Jack will be in charge of the marketing team. While they are working, Emma's friend and colleague Casey comes in and asks her for help in the accounts department, which is their code for sneaking out of work to get coffee. Unluckily for her, she already told Jack about this secret on their flight. Emma tries to decline and shoo away Casey, but Jack insists that she help him out. Jack busted them sipping coffee in front of the elevator. He tells Emma to get in so they can already go to the marketing department, and so she does. The elevator stops midway and Connor comes in and joins them. It turns out that Jack is actually heading to Connor's presentation. Jack reveals to Connor that he knows the two of them are dating and asks him if he finds their relationship distracting. To which Connor strongly denies, and that they keep their work and personal life completely separated. When they reach the floor, Jack asks Emma to come to join Connor's presentation. On his presentation, Connor says that their target's market are millennials. However, Emma cuts in and suggested to change the target market of the products to elderly rather than the millennials, but no one supports her idea. Later after the presentation, Emma texts Connor to meet her in the archive room. When he arrives, he saw Emma trying to seduce him and he is confused. She pulls him so they can make love, but he tells her to stop. Emma realizes that their relationship is not working, so she breaks up with him. The next day, Emma asks Nick, the representative for the Panda Bites account, for a tiny marketing budget so they can put a coupon of their product on a bowling magazine and test her theory about targeting the elderly market. Emma makes a tiny black mail and Nick agrees. Emma gets called to Jack's office. Jack asks her opinion about a new logo. She tells him that she doesn't like it, to which he agrees right away. He then tells her that he heard she broke up with her boyfriend and asks if she is okay. He then later asks her if she can go out with him on a date. Emma says yes immediately. At night, Jack arrives at Emma's house. She takes him to a secret club, but they seem to be in the wrong place. Jack then asks her to eat falafel somewhere in the outskirt of New York City. They chat and chuckle at how their first date gone wrong. When they are about to kiss, someone calls Jack and suddenly change his mood. Emma asks if there is anything she can help, but Jack is secretive. He says he just wants to spend the evening with her, and they continued kissing. For a couple of days, Emma is happy with her new relationship with her rich CEO boyfriend. They go on a lot of dates and had a marathon of making love. She then realizes that he never actually shares anything with her. Jack is all good until she asks him questions about his personal life. He just goes silent and sometimes tries to dodge the question. Like when she asks how they started the business with his partner, he just suddenly leaves. Emma talks to Lissy about this, and she is a bit concerned. Next morning, all the employees in the office listens to Jack's live interview. When questioned about their new target market, he refers to it as the girl on the street, which he describes, citing all of Emma's characteristics and some of her secrets. Her colleagues are starting to puzzle out that it is Emma whom Jack is referring to, and they make fun of her. This upsets Emma and she leaves. She continues crying when she arrives at Lissy's apartment. Lissy comforts her and Gemma comes in. She receives a call from Jack, and she tells him that she never wants to see or hear from him anymore. Gemma tells her that she should make her revenge and reveal his secrets too. But Emma answers that she knows nothing about Jack. But then she remembers that Jack told her not to tell anyone that he was in Chicago and that he heard him talk to phone about a plan B. Other than that, nothing more. The next day, Emma and Casey went for a coffee and chat. Jack comes in and asks her to talk, but she tries to ignore him and it refuses to talk. Later on, Casey leaves them both and Jack started to ask for apology. Emma tells him how he humiliates her and that everyone laughed at her. Jack explains that he panicked and caught off guard in the interview, that is why he said all that. When Jack tells her that it is not that bad that people know the truth about her, Emma answers him back that he has not even shared anything about him with her. She asks him about why was he in Chicago. Jack is hesitant to answer, so Emma just leaves. Back at Lissy's apartment, Emma tells her friend what happened at the coffee shop. Gemma insists again that they should know Jack's secret and expose him. Gemma tells them that she knows a tabloid reporter can find out his secrets, but Emma refuses, saying she don't want revenge. At the office, Sybil tells the team that the coupon delivered off-the-chart sales. Nick tries to get the credit, but Emma stops him and says that it was her idea. She demands promotion and Sybil agrees. A while later, Emma goes to the theater where Lissy is going to perform to support her. Jack also shows up there and tries to be finally honest. He tells her that he was in Chicago because he is visiting someone. His goddaughter, Alice, daughter of his business partner and best friend who passed away. He did not want the media to know about her because Pete and him want her out of the spotlight and have a normal life. Emma is happy that he is finally opening up and asks him if he wants to watch the show with her. They watched Lissy's performance together and they enjoyed it. After the show, Gemma arrives together with the tabloid reporter. Emma tries to get rid of him. However, Jack sees them, and the reporter asked him about the flight to Chicago. He thought that Emma sold his secret. She tries to explain, but he just leaves without giving her the chance. That night, Jack goes in a flight to Chicago. Emma shows up and asks for a chance to explain everything. She assures him that she did not say anything to the reporter, and it was just all a big misunderstanding. She also tells him how she loves him and thanks him for accepting her even though he knew her ugliest secrets. She moves to her seat and Jack follows her. He tells his secrets in front of her and the other passengers, to which Emma smiles. Jack then asks the passenger next to Emma if he can switch seat with him, which is in first class, to which the passenger readily accepted. He confesses how in love he is with her, and they sit holding hands and kissed. Did you like our movie recap? Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. To be up